remember, it's either session 19 or 20. I'll find out when I double check afterwards, but we're getting up there in numbers. Last session, you guys were exploring the Gold Bell Caverns. We went down into the sort of like waterfall caverns, the waterlogged area. You guys did some exploring and found an archaeological site. There's a bunch of skeletal remains embedded in the wall. Clara did some excavation of it and found that it was connected via like a bone tubule protrusion to the wall. And then I think it was Uther and Sky who were at there was a larger one, taller than Dafer by about a head, maybe like 1 to 2 feet taller than Dafer. Big stone armor embedded in the wall. At which point it began to move and you guys engaged in combat with it. It had some weird abilities, including like an energy barrier that seemed to be powered from iodine that was dripping through these bone umbilicals that attached it to the wall, and the ability to, on contact, cause bone to fracture in a rather explosive manner, which caused Sky to lose the use of one of her arms. You guys did some reading of Kathy's journals and bandaged up anyone who'd been hurt by the strange bone construct type thing that you were attacked by. And I think we left off with you guys getting a night's rest in the cave area, and we'll be picking up with in the morning, heading towards the ossified tunnel that connects two sides of the Gold Bell Caverns together. Don't know if anyone has anything they want to add before we get rolling.
We didn't roll for watches.
No,
night,
I think you might be right. Give me 1 second.
We ended on just starting a watch where the Sky said she wanted to go first, then Tira second, and it's unclear who goes third.
Okay. Those of you who settle down, you've got the Taliesin thread tents kind of over your head. You guys are in a cavern with really only one way in, one way out. Laying there, you hear Sky sort of take up position. Just a soft glow from like a crystal that she has clipped to her waist that gives off enough light to fill the space. There are muffle runes around the campsite as well, keeping the quiet down. I suppose all of you eventually settle into rest. And then was it Adhira you were taking the second watch, was it?
Yes.
Adhira, you feel a hand on your shoulder. There's a gentle pressure. You aren't shaken awake so much as you're aware of the presence of another person that seems to tease you from sleep.
Eyes open with a soft grunt. She pulls herself into a sitting position.
Sky is looking down at you. When she's sure you look alert enough, she says, "Nothing I've seen. It's quiet. Only one way in and one way out, the water. But I've been keeping an eye on the wall as well, just in case any of those seem to wake up."
Then hopefully it'll stay a quiet night.
She nods. And then she kind of just takes your position in the Taliesin Thread 10. Heading outside of it, Adhira, it is already blended in, so from certain angles you can't see the tents there whatsoever. Only really the side with the aperture into the tent is really visible. There's the gap that sort of shows some warping of the light from different angles. On the other side, it just looks like a mound in the cavern floor, like a natural rock formation.
She is going to look left and right, cast a sort of long glance at the water, which I assume is still, save for a few drops from above.
Yeah, the occasional dripping from the cavern ceiling causes ripples going through it, but there's no wind here, nothing to disturb the surface of the water beyond that.
She's going to walk back over to the Bone Hulk,
Mhm.
and she's going to allow her curiosity to get the better of it and start just examining and touching the skeletal structure within.
Is there anything in particular you're looking for, or are you more just like curiously poking around it?
Curiously poking around it, more concerned with the skeleton than any of the jade or stone armaments on it.
In which case, give me an investigation check. Fine. There are some odd sections of the bone where it looks like the bone was broken and then healed adhere. So there's like, normally there's this pure porousness to a bone, like the ones you've seen before, where it's like one solid but rough, bumpy sort of construct. There are sections of this bone that seem extended and perfectly fused, so it's like a smooth surface, almost like the bone was sanded down, but it sort of lumps out a little bit. It looks like healed broken bone that was then extruded, is probably the best way I could describe it. But that's all you can, like, as you're picking through it, nothing else really stands out to you as interesting, I suppose.
She sighs, still unable to sort of like figure out its big mystery or all its details, and she'll sit next to it and just keep watch and think.
Give me a perception check. Okay. It is quiet in here. Honestly, the loudest part of the cavern is the soft sound of breathing coming from the 10 of your sleeping companions. Muffled by the runes, even that. It's very eerily silent in here. There's the occasional drop of water, there's the soft breathing. It gets to the point where it's so quiet that you start to hear the thump of your own heartbeat and the pull of air in and out of your lungs. You become very aware of all the sounds that you're making, but nothing else really disturbs you, Atira, throughout the rest of your watch.
Who wanted to be woken for?
I don't
next
think it
watch?
was discussed, but I mean, you can wake whoever you want, I suppose.
I'm going to wake Caliban.
Oh boy.
Kind of just shake his shoulder a little.
Just sort of just like opens his eyes.
Hello, I have elected you to take next watch.
All right. He sort of just like shakes himself, gets up,
So,
throws back his hair, and just sort of like gets ready.
Yeah, Adhira,
Yes.
you watch as he looks, a little sleepy from waking up. The outfit's a little bit disheveled. He's straightening out that stuff. But as he shakes his hair back, it just instantly cascades into a beautiful waterfall of silver locks, as if it had been freshly brushed.
how does it do that? Never mind, just go.
Okay.
Out of character,
Very
I
well.
picked him because it's going to be very quiet and he'll be alone with his thoughts.
Damn. I won't be able to upset anybody. You chose my.
You can you can have him, like, I don't know, talk down to the broken behemoth. uh,
I'll have to recount on this election. This one vote recounted.
Caliban,
All right.
anything in particular you would like to do?
It's just going to be a relatively just going to be a relatively normal watch, or as normal as I could try to make it.
Okay. Give me a perception check.
All right, give me 1 sec. There I am.
14. Very much the same, very quiet. A couple of hours into your watch, though, or time is a little hard to parse down here. The only thing that really allows you to keep track is sort of like this rhythmic drop of water that seems to be coming from somewhere in the pool nearby you. There is a second set of dripping that catches your attention, Caliban. And as you look over to where it is in the corner, there's that one protrusion that was sort of sticking out the wall that is broken. And it is pushing out this bluish iodine liquid. The smell of it is quite strong, and at first you have to turn your head away, but obviously very quickly you get used to it. But yeah, it does seem to be putting out more of this liquid all of a sudden. Not like tons and tons, but, you know, enough to be causing a small puddle to form nearby the wall to your right-hand side.
It was... Did we establish what this was? Like, just
No.
the source of the iodine itself?
No, I mean, it's the actual protrubules of bone that it's coming through goes much deeper into the walls. You guys would have to stay and excavate to maybe find how deep and how far it goes and what might be on the other side, but as of yet, no, not really.
Yeah, turns like in the general direction to where everybody else would be, then turns back to like the second set of dripping, and maybe approaches it.
Yeah, getting a little closer, you can see that it has dripped onto the stonework and has created this small puddle, no bigger than like a clenched fist, basically, Caliban. It's obviously dripping and sort of splattering a bit over the stonework, and you can see that the stone has been almost dyed this weird blue, black, green color, like depending on how the light hits it or how much of it has hit the stonework, the color's a little different. Getting closer, the smell is obviously much stronger, but...
He's gonna try to like catch some of the droplets on his blade, like on his sword.
Yeah, it like there's the sound of like a pretty thick viscous liquid impacting against the metal, that sort of like as it impacts and splashes across the blade. It doesn't like stick or do anything strange or anything you wouldn't expect, I guess, as it impacts the blade.
I see. He just like maybe like scoops like a droplet with like his pinky.
Yeah, taking your pinky finger and putting it to the liquid, scooping it up, you feel at first a sort of, how to describe this pain? It isn't sharp. It's not like a throbbing ache, but more like a constant dull pain in your in your pinky finger. And you watch as the pain fades, the nail on your pinky finger grows about 3 centimeters in a very short amount of time. You watch as the nail sort of extends out from your fingertip.
Oh god. It's gonna like wipe that away and just like bite off like
Yeah,
just
you do so.
yeah, just like sort of just like bites the nail so that it's short again.
Mm-hmm. You chew your nail off.
Yeah.
Nothing else seems to happen, but yeah, it did seem to obviously have that reaction to you.
And you said there were bones nearby.
Yeah, in the wall, interred with like their hands up, almost as if they were Flash. You know, like Han Solo frozen in carbonite, kind of that
Yes.
same position, basically.
If there's any like spare bones, I'm just gonna grab one.
Yeah, I mean, there was the broken one, so there's maybe some bone fragments or something like that nearby you can grab.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab it to bring it over to the puddle, and just sort of like with Caliban's sword, he's just gonna prod the bone up closer to the iodine puddle and see what happens there.
You prod the bone into the puddle. You watch as the liquid kind of gets soaked up by the porous bone, and then maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds later, you watch the bone begin to inflate, not unlike a sponge absorbing liquid, getting larger and more voluminous, until eventually the bone fills the capacity of the puddle that it is in. With the puddle being gone now and simply taken into the bone itself.
Is there like any holes left? So like Caliban is just gonna like dab it with his sword and just like bring it up.
You wouldn't be able to like, well, you could stab
Like
it, but you'd be
sort of like hooking it.
Yeah, you could leverage it up out. As you do so, what you notice is it's all fused together now. It's got this like consistent, no pores to it sort of vibe to it, as it looks again like I described before, like a bone that broke and then refused and healed, but much larger in volume and weight than the bone you initially put into the puddle to begin with when you're messing around.
So it's gonna be a bit weird to say. So the bone has petrified and ossified.
It's grown, but in a way that is unnatural and sort of caused it to take on some odd properties.
That's weird. Is there like a larger pool of water?
Like
of normal water?
Water? Yeah, there is, yeah.
Okay, he's gonna toss the bone into the water, see if it sinks.
It does, like a stone.
Ooh. Oh, I don't like that. Did I know? Did it look like any other rocks anywhere?
No. It was quite still obviously bone, I would say.
Okay. Oh, that's weird. Okay. And so the iodine was dripping down from somewhere.
Yeah, out of a broken bone protuberance, like a small tube that sticks out of the wall. It's been snapped off because there was a skeleton there at one point, but isn't anymore, and it's now just leaking down onto the ground.
I see. Okay. I'm gonna make a note to have everybody avoid that.
But that's all
Until
that happens on your watch. Yeah. Basically, a little bit later, people begin to wake from their rest. Sky wakes up, starts packing away bits and pieces, folding it back up to put back into the various packs that you guys have with you. Yeah. Anyone got anything they want to do in the morning?
Breakfast.
Yeah, pulling out a small little like camping stove thing, you're able to make some breakfast. Sky will.
I'm gonna make eggs with beans,
Mhm.
like the canned beans kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hearty breakfast.
Classic camping food. Start cooking that. Sky looks at Adhira and says, anything of note after I slept?
No, it was pretty quiet. Almost too quiet, but uneventful.
She unwraps her arm, which you can see the scarring up her skin, but it has sealed over. She opens and closes her hand, winces a little, and says, "It's stiff, but I can fight. I won't be my usual self for a bit, though. Whatever that thing was, really did a number on my arm."
By the way, how's my arm doing?
Yeah, yours seems to be doing better. For whatever reason, maybe it was because she was the first one hit, or maybe it got a better full contact with her. The effect does seem to be more severe to Sky when that first attack landed.
Okay. Well, I'll start doing morning stretches and getting all my meager belongings together.
She'll take her food with thanks, Dafer, and just say, "We'll be back underwater for a bit, so make sure everything's watertight and packed away."
Will do. Second, Hira, you're not skipping breakfast. I see those bony protrusions you call a body.
Wow.
Poor choice
Charming
of
as ever.
words.
Yeah.
She gestures at the wall.
Add Hero will give Dave a little glare and sit down for food.
A little bit.
Was there still notebook to go through out of curiosity, or we been through all of them?
I think there was some notebook left, the very older one that Caliban was kind of flicking through last night. I think there's like a third to 2/3 of it left. Midway through breakfast, you watch Sky kind of zone out for a second. Any of you with insight proficiency, can you give me an insight check?
Ooh.
I think that's me.
Oh, jeez, it's here.
Shit.
It's a good start.
Insight proficiency. Yeah, I do.
23, 22. Adhering Clara, she's obviously been using her power quite extensively. Therefore, her reactions to everything have been somewhat muted in order to dull the pain. When she zones out, she's like in the middle of a sentence, and then suddenly it's almost like something distracts her. She looks off to one side and her eyes glaze over, and you see just the slightest of warm smiles before she blinks a couple of times and says, "Axel's keeping himself busy. He's helping the police look into the Glomide back in the city. Sends his regards. Is there anything you'd like me to say back?"
Doing
Not
fine.
sure. Hello.
Obviously, I
For
tell him.
revival and warn him about Golomide potentially out here.
She nods and says, "Tell him we're in the cave system and that there may be some activity that ties back to that here. I'll have more from when we're back." Her eyes sort of glaze over again for a second, and then she comes back out of the trance.
16.
She looks over at you, Clara, and says, "The girl in the infirmary. She's awake. Apparently she caused a bit of a stir, but she's okay."
She was awake in bits and pieces before we left. I went to check on her. But
She nods and says,
it doesn't surprise me that she's troublemaking again.
apparently they managed to get her into a private room and explain the situation to her.
She seems smart. I'm sure she'll eventually figure it out.
Sky nods. Are we all ready?
How many jailbreak attempts do you think she's gonna make?
Enough. I just hope it's not so many that they decide she's not worth the effort.
They've held individuals with more troublesome power sets than her in the academy. Well, I'm sure they'll be fine.
Let's hope she doesn't do anything too stupid. Either way. Give me a second, I'll be packing up.
She heads to the water's edge, puts her hand in it. Why does it always have to be cold?
And here shivers.
See, these are the moments where it pays to have a couple pounds more. Helps a little bit with keeping warm, though not that much.
What is it with you and the body shaming today? Leave her alone. You don't comment on a girl's body, Dafer. It's rude.
I'm trying to get you all to a healthy weight.
Well, your idea of what's healthy is not necessarily medically what's healthy.
I can't believe we're gonna lose Dafer in the mines.
Oh, God.
Never to be
The
seen.
men in this group.
Of everybody, I thought it would be me.
Sky
This
just,
is how quickly they turn on you.
Sky just shoves Dafer into the water. Jumps in.
Caliban
Serves you
does
right.
Jumps in.
Caliban does something different. He hair shames.
I like Adhira thinking.
Existing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Adhira thinks it's hair shaming just because she has to look at that every morning.
It's not hair shaming. You're just jealous.
Yes, she's there with a brush, like. Yeah, you guys descend into the water. Sky leading the way. You mostly follow Kathy's markings through various tunnels, occasionally coming up for a few minutes before having to either go up to your waist or fully submerge once again. Eventually you find yourselves going through possibly one of the most claustrophobic sort of experiences with it's a gap in a cavern wall that is at most you've got like an inch clearance on either side of you. Have to unclip all of the stuff you're carrying and put them into each hand, and the water kind of comes up to your chin, so you're leaning your head back and moving sideways, able to hear each other luckily as you're kind of scraping and catching and moving along. I don't know if there's anything anyone wants to do as you're traveling, whether you're just trying to keep an eye out for anything or any sort of, I don't know, anything you want to use.
Just keeping my mind ahead on getting the hell through this.
Trying to focus on each step, each moment at a time, ignoring the uncomfortable situation. You do manage to eventually squeeze your way through, and at this point exit into one of the larger caverns you've been in here, at least this far down. When you were at the top, there were absolutely huge caverns like the Pillory and the initial sort of mushroom forest that you're in. This one is a little bit smaller than the two of those, but still, it like coming out of that tiny space into a big space, you feel the expansion of the air around you. Here is a sort of flat lake of water where all the water is sort of run into. You can see a few holes where water is gushing out, waterfalls that fall into this space. Some of the area is lit up with kind of like abandoned glow lamps. They're not quite glow sticks, but more like like crystal rods that have been embedded into sections of the rock surface. Someone, probably Kathy, has been here before and set up some lighting in the area. So there's a sort of strange purple glow across the surface of the rippling water. Across the other side of the lake from you, you can see the beginnings of what looks like the ossified tunnel. There's this 3-person wide bone oval, essentially, that seems to be a tunnel that goes deeper, and obviously the darkness stops you from seeing too far down it. But yeah, it's across this maybe 300 foot in diameter lake. In front of you there is the opening of the ossified tunnel. Sky sidesteps a little to let the rest of you sort of keep coming out of the narrow gap, as there's a bit of a lip or an edge here. It doesn't go all the way around the lake, but enough that she can kind of shimmy to the left and let a few other people start to filter out into the space. Is there anything anyone wants to do?
I'm gonna run my hand along the side of the wall, kind of feel the material that's been ossified.
All the way across the other side of the lake.
Oh.
Yeah, you can see it like 300 feet away with a huge body of water in front of you, but you can't reach it from here.
Is there... I think she'd be watching the water.
Give me a perception check. The light from the crystal lamps that have been set up penetrates the water a little bit, but as you look down into the water, you can't see fully down, right? Like, it gives you a strange sense of vertigo, as if you were stood atop the... like stood on top of a tall building looking down and seeing like all the way down into darkness. It just sort of gives you this feeling of being at the top of a precipice as you look down into the lake.
Hate that.
I'm gonna try and like find a stone or like a bone shard or something and like skim it across the surface.
Yeah, I think skimming a rock would be sleight of hand, I would say.
Oh, God.
Dex throw attack or some shit.
It bounces across the surface of the water. Every time it impacts, there is a wash of blue bioluminescence as your stone impacts the surface of the water, as some sort of waterborne algae responds to the impact, and there's a blossom of color.
Oh, that's prettier than I was expecting. I was thinking something might come and try and eat it.
Doesn't make it all the way across the lake, sinks about halfway or so, and you watch it disappear down into the dark.
Are there any markings here that she would have left?
Like her writing on the wall or anything like that? Looking around, you don't see anything, no. You also don't see anything down inside the lake. There's no, like... Whenever she did underwater, there was that paint that glows under light, but you can't see like a marked line that she has drawn down into the depths.
Gotcha. Okay. Worth a shot.
Knowledge base wise, did Caliban share with us what he learned about the bone stuff? Or is that, would we know about that? The iron liquid. That's
I at least would have talked about it.
Okay.
Then yeah.
Okay. Given that the ossified tunnels are like a huge mass of bone, which like an implausibly huge mass of bone.
Yes.
I do not like
I mean, it's still a
massive bone.
Yeah, it's still across a lake, but do I sense some slight smell of iodine? It would also be a smell I would be on the lookout.
Give me a perception check.
I can't believe after so long we're having Hinder put in his poison swamp.
5. There is a scent in the air that seems abnormal. A sort of chemically smell. It's a bit more burnt than that, though, Dafer. Like a kind of a smoky-ish smell in here. It's very, very faint. It doesn't smell like iodine, but you also can't place it. You just, like, paying attention to it, you can get this, like, undercurrent.
Maybe?
When we went on when we went on this excursion, do we have a survivalist kit?
Yes.
Okay, so digging through it, would we have PTC papers?
And to remind me, that is something that tests the acidity, or is that more?
The chemical composition within liquids.
So you would have some things that would test for certain stuff that you could dip into the water. I don't think it would be like
it turns blue for like sodium, turns green for like sulfur.
You're
stuff like
more likely to have like something that would be able to tell you if it's got like a high pH or something like that. I think more litmus than something along those lines.
You pull out a strip, the entire strip is immediately ruined because the air itself is high pH or something.
just dissolves. Concern.
What does that do to our lungs?
Sky looks around and says, I can't see any handholds. I guess she used to swim it.
Well, that seems horrifying.
She looks down over the edge, down into the darkness. Anyone got a source of light we can drop? Maybe seed. Or maybe I'd rather not know.
Just use Caliban's hair as like a mirror, beam of light.
Like a sun disk.
One thing, could I get another descriptor? How is, like, we came out of a water cave system because we went the other way from the archaeological thing, and now we're across another body of water beyond which is the ossified tunnels.
Yeah, correct. So you've come out of an opening, there's water pouring out of it behind you into a big sort of lake thing in front of you. There's no way physically to cross around the outside of the lake, other than like actually like putting in wall pittons or something like that and climbing your way around. But across the lake from you, this 300-foot sort of wide lake, there is the bone tunnel beyond.
Wait, so the waterways that we pass to get here are connected to this big lake?
Connected in the sense that where you have come out of, water is spilling out of it and down into the reservoir at your feet.
Okay, so we got out, walked a couple centimeters, I don't know, in height, a couple centimeters down as we walked a couple meters or something. Okay.
Yeah, you would have sloped down slightly.
That reservoir. And that reservoir is more spooky because it's dark and...
Yeah, and it seems to go deep down.
As in the hole filled with water is deep down, or it's like the water very deep down?
No. So you could dip your foot into the water, but once you're in the water, there is a lot of room to swim down into it.
Oh, okay. Check. Okay.
I have my dagger. Could I tie a rope to that and kind of lower it in and see what we get?
Yeah, if you wanted to, you could drop a lure of light down into the depths.
Go fishing.
I mean, that does make sense. I would, well, like, given the threats we know, what some of those cave eel thingies in protrusions in the wall, keeping a lookout for those might be sensible.
Yeah, you could use them to kind of check the edge where you are. I don't think you'd be able to check the other edge, because if you were to like throw it, it would just sort of drop it a weird angle back towards you. But yeah, if you want to lower that down, you can.
Sure. See the cave anglerfish below it, or whatever's down there.
Technically, you're the anglerfish in this. Does someone want to give me a perception check as Uther lowers the dagger? It could be Uther, could be anyone else, I don't mind.
Angler to angler communication.
I'll have some eyes.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. 12. Uther, are you paying attention to the immediate surroundings around the dagger, or are you paying more attention to the cavern sort of wall that it's passing by? Where's your attention focused on?
Probably immediately closest to the dagger.
Okay. Lowering it down deeper and deeper. Occasionally, something flits through the nimbus of light. You don't see it for very long because it seems to not like being in the light. But on a 19, what I can say is it's some sort of tentacled creature, maybe a squid or an octopus or something like that. It's not gigantic, Uther, but you wouldn't say it was small either. About the size of a husky dog or something like that. It's big, but it's not ginormous. And Clara, would you be looking in the same sort of area around the nimbus of light, or paying attention to the rock surface, or is there anywhere else your attention would be as the dagger is lowered?
Probably around like the edges of the light.
Mm-hmm. As it is lowered, you do occasionally make out at the edge of the light, where it sort of crosses over the edge of the cavern walls. Some of the stone down there is worked stone. And a couple of times you catch glimpses of what might be kind of like carved pillars, maybe? Something like that.
Where are we in like our map here?
You guys are like here, like this spot. Sorry, there we go.
So why? I'm gonna turn around to Sky. Do you have any idea what used to be here?
She shakes her head and says, that's really what Kathy was trying to look into. She was sure that there was a large settlement of people down here. Most people believed that they were just taking refuge into the cave, or occasionally would build shrines or other things down here, but...
I get the impression it might have been a little bit more than that. There's a tale that I heard growing up of a settlement that now lives under a lake, but it was flooded on purpose. This reminds me of that.
She kind of looks down
Horrific.
into the water. Says, do you know why they flooded the lake? You said it was done on purpose. Do you know the reason?
I think they were doing it to build a dam. They wanted to use the valley where the town was. So they didn't so much ask permission as told everyone that their choices were leave or drown.
Gazes down into the depths. Either way,
Seems a bit much.
you'd be surprised what people are capable of.
I don't know, it just... If there was some sort of settlement here, the caves by themselves don't seem to have altered that much that it would suddenly drown them all. Not without... I'm going to be generous here and say intervention. Intended or no.
Could be that whoever lived down here maybe wanted to seal themselves away in some sense as well. Destroyed the entrance into their home. away. We need to cross this lake, and I'm not seeing too much of a problem.
Does anyone know anything about the hunting habits of cephalopods and their reaction to things bigger than them?
She furrows her eyebrows at you and says that seems awfully specific.
Awful
Actually,
specific for a reason.
Sam,
Yeah, give me a nature check.
I have looked
What's a
into
cephalopod?
squid rings and maybe how to hunt big squids.
Yeah.
Do,
Why
that for
have you
exactly that
studied
purpose.
hunting squids?
Yeah, give,
Do I? It is the flimsiest but somewhat believable excuse that I have. Can I maybe
Dafer
have some
dreams
kind
of the
idea?
sea. The most landlocked motherfucker in history dreams of the sea.
I am not a freaky fish guy.
Yo, whoa, fiddle-dee-dee.
Give me a nature check, David.
Okay. See, I need to know where to get my food resources from. How to buy it.
You've definitely read some stuff about squids and other cephalopods being very intelligent creatures, resourceful hunters, able to produce ink. I don't know if you know like their behavioral response, like what their favorite prey would be, other than fish. So yeah, you know some stuff about squids, but specifically, definitely not cave squids. You would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know we could use fish for bait essentially, but
Yeah.
that's about it. And I'm pretty sure Dafer would not have brought like dried fish for rations. That just makes that's a pretty bad ration right there. Okay. I read a bit about squids, but like nothing useful for this scenario.
Why don't we have those with more ranged capabilities stay behind and watch us as we cross?
Yeah, makes sense. I think worst case scenario as we cross is just we have to tough it out a little bit. Ultimately.
Should we cross in pairs? Seems like a smart enough choice to me.
Agreed.
Atira, with me.
Sure.
She puts a reassuring hand in your shoulder and then drops herself into the water so that she like submerges and then comes back up to the surface, shakes her head, clearing the water off, and starts to kind of like one hand swim across the surface of the lake to the other side. Anything in particular you'd like to do it here?
Curse to myself that I'm never going to be not wet on this trip.
Yep.
And dive in.
You dive in. Give me a perception check, Atira.
Don't want to see the squids.
As you're swimming along, is the light dagger still down there, Wald, or did you pull it up?
I hadn't considered. I guess I'll keep it down there so we can kind of see.
Atira, as you're swimming, the way that you're like pushing the water and the wake of sky causes the rope on the dagger to sort of sway a little. It goes more over to the right, and as you kind of put your head under and you start to swim, you see an outline that you don't recognize, but some part of your brain, some part of the like pattern recognition section of your mind instantly realizes what it is. There is a body lodged partway into the wall. It's not skeletal. It is clothed, and when the light passes over it, you see the glint of metal, maybe like a gun or a sword or something like that. But just as quickly as you see it, the light swings back away and you lose sight of it. What do you want to do it here?
How far ahead is Sky?
Sky's swimming pretty fast, but she's doing it one-handed, so she's probably like 30 foot away from you at this point, Atira.
I'm gonna allow us to get to the other side first.
Okay.
But I'm going to like mark kind of mentally
Yeah.
where I was
You hold
when
it in
I
your
saw
head.
it.
Those of you with ranged weapons, so it was underwater. I think that's only Samara and Caliban left, right? Uther and Dafer. I mean, Dafer has his shockwaves, but that's not really going to work through water. And I guess the chakram are probably going to struggle too. Well, technically, bullets struggle with water too. Anyway, yeah.
I got that. I got a pistol.
You do, yes. True. Basically,
That- that-
anyone...
My sword is
that's not
technically a pistol.
Anyone with a ranged weapon that is on Overwatch, keeping an eye out on the two crossing, give me a perception check.
Alrighty. Oh, yeah.
If
Damn.
nothing
Oh,
else,
that's
I
better.
can alert someone to a problem. Maybe.
Wait, it's just we're just the only. Okay, so it's the three of us that have ranged weapons.
Yeah, Uther still has his gun that he was given by his teacher. Clara and Uther, the two of you spot a shape, not moving for Adhira, but moving up towards Sky's feet as she's kind of getting to the edge of the other side of the cliff wall. You watch one of these cave eels' heads slowly extending up towards her leg. Is there anything particular you'd like to do?
I am going to warn her about her new friend.
Yep, you yell a warning, Clara.
If it's reaching up towards it, I just throw my chakram like along the surface of the water, so that
Oh.
if it actually comes out and tries to bite her, then I
Yeah.
might hit it.
Go ahead and give me an attack roll. Technically, you have...
Clara with throwing weapon versus animal. This is like the best setup I could possibly be in.
It's technically next to an ally, so you do get sneak attack, so go ahead and roll for damage with your crit. With the yelled warning, she slams her hand down to kind of shoot up out of the water, shoulder rolls down onto the side. The eel's head comes up, just about breaches the surface. The chakram slices clean through the neck into the other side, embeds stonework on the other side with the eel beheaded. The bottom section of his body sinks back down into the water, and the head sloughs off to the other side and drops the liquid. Atira, a deadly blade disc whizzes past you across the surface of the water as you're approaching. 30 foot behind it, goes past you, and you watch it just kill this cave eel in one hit.
To give Clara a silent thumbs up, and as I pass the decapitated head, I sort of use the butt end of my scythe to push it away from me.
Yeah. Use it in order to sort of push yourself up as the eel body sinks down into the depths below. But your two companions have made it across. I think the chakram's probably embedded there. Sky leans over and starts tugging on it to try and get it out of the rock surface, and it's that's in there deep.
Clara flexes one arm and turns around to Dafer. Yeah, just my spindly little bony body.
You made your point, but you made your point.
Thank you. Also, your food is lovely. I don't think anyone would turn it down on purpose.
I'm going to swap the Coptic real quick and just be nice. This is a deep body of water. We'll never find you.
Who are the next two to go across?
Actually, does Clara does not have her weapon as it currently lodged in one of the cave walls, right?
Yeah, I mean, eventually Sky will be able to pull it out. You can wait for her to toss it back across if you want, or yeah, if Clara wanted to cross now, might be the perfect time.
Yeah, I think it's probably best that I crossed. Have we heard about the body that's in there?
No. Someone's keeping that under their head, I think.
Not yet.
No.
Like I say, Atira, you're gonna wait until everyone's fully across.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm gonna wait until me and Sky are across.
Oh, you guys are.
Well, that's why I'm
across.
asking now, because you are across.
Okay. She's going to kind of tug on Sky's sleeve and point back over to around the start where I had first noticed and say, down in the water, when we were swimming, I saw something with the light. It was brief, but it was a body carrying something, perhaps a weapon. It could be her.
Sky's expression darkens, and then she kind of stops tugging on the chakra and slowly unwedging it from the stonework. Yells across the surface of the lake. Adhira caught sight of a body in the lake, near where the dagger is, a little bit more to your right. Could you move the dagger across, see if you can see anything?
Yeah, I'll reel it in a little closer.
Dragging it like more along the right, eventually it does wind up next to the outline of a body. It's very bloated, looks like it's been underwater for a while. You would say it looks more paramilitary than anything, though. It's wearing some like body armor type stuff. It does appear to be a gun that it has that is sort of weighing the body down in some sense, and it looks like a limb got caught on the water. Obviously things have picked at it as well, so it doesn't look to be in a great condition, but no, it's not strangely well preserved, no. It doesn't match any sort of anything you would think Kathy might look like, but it is interesting that it's there.
Does it look anything like a certain missing mining leader might look like?
Doesn't match the description. He was said to be like an older guy. Then again, it is a little difficult from a distance with the body looking this sort of bloated, but you get the sense that this was someone who's a bit younger. Maybe like in their 20s.
Does it look like any of the local military forces?
It doesn't look
outside?
like it doesn't look like 3Ts or anything like that. This is more like mercenary style garb, you would say, like someone like a hired gun that some of you may have seen around that sort of travel between regions, but no, it doesn't seem to match anything else you've seen so far.
From the description we got, like, we know that I forgot his name, mining guild leader, entered the cavern system, I believe. Like that, there were reports of that.
So that was that was the excuse that was given by the base commander to be like, that's why he's not here. He's down there. But you don't.
Okay.
From your point, I think a few people have like ventured a guess that maybe he fled the town, or he could be down here, but nothing's confirmed, basically.
I was mainly wondering if maybe from what we know, he is down here, and maybe he was reported to have guards or the like, and this could be one of them.
The mining.
If we don't know, we don't know.
The mining guild mostly use peacekeepers for defending them, so not often using mercenaries. No.
That doesn't have to be on the order of the mining guild. Could be that.
Yeah.
Like
from what you're
armor
seeing,
from
it doesn't
anyone.
line up with anything that you're sort of thinking about in that regard. No.
I hit the button by mistake, but I would like to pop my Find Familiar crystal.
Yeah. What are we dropping into the water?
I'm gonna drop the octopus into the water.
I
I don't think there's much chance of us getting the body back, but in the case this is like a mercenary or like someone who is gonna have some sort of equipment ideas, I'm gonna try and see if the octopus can just like sucker the gun out of its hands.
Sending the octopus down, it like drips out of your grip into the water with a splash, then starts to swim its way down. Are you looking through its eyes?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have it. It'll also give me a good idea of what else might be down there, other than eels.
Yeah, give me a perception check, and then we'll go from there, I think.
Perception. That's persuasion. Don't click the wrong button. 22.
Heading down there, the firearm in question on the body is very advanced. More so than most of the military tech you've seen in the base upstairs. It looks to have crystal built into the weapon itself. The body armor is interesting as well. It isn't a shell, but it does seem to be partially woven with the chitin from miasmic monsters. The individual seems to have been killed with a series of very accurately placed gunshots, one straight between the eyes, two through like gaps in the armor, like shot basically in the gap between, not quite in the underarm, but like at the joint where the shoulder was, and then another one has impacted the armor in the middle and sort of bent it in but didn't go all the way through. There's no major discerning mark, not like an emblem. If this is a mercenary group, they're not advertising, they're not like proud or they're trying to keep some sort of secrecy you're sort of picking out from what you're looking at. There's no obvious way of discerning who they are. In terms of what else is in the water, you don't see any other bodies or anything like that. There are still the squids. There are some sort of cave fish in here as well. You also see some like algae and moss colonies with little crustaceans that are basically see-through. You can see their internal organs that are picking through the moss and things like that the squids seem to enjoy cracking open and eating the insides of and things like that. So you see a little ecosystem down here. Nothing that stands out to you as being dangerous beyond the large squids and the dead body with a gun.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have the octopus try and bring the gun back up to the surface.
Yeah.
I figure if it's like, especially because it's quite high tech, someone might be missing it. Or like someone might be able to trace parts of it to who this is and who they were, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I do have a question about the gunshots. This is a long shot. Do the like method or placement or like the actual bullet wounds themselves, do they bear any resemblance to the people we saw executed in that like train that was across on our way here?
What I would say is the bullets, the bullet wounds on this are much smaller. There is a similar sense of expertise that I would say would like catch you as feeling a little bit similar. But you would also say that the gunshots on the train were sort of more accurate in a sense. Like, these are well-placed shots, but they're not perfectly executed like the train ones were.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, you bring the gun up. It's like a big rifle type thing. It kind of looks like the... Oh my god, I'm a Star Wars nerd and I'm completely blanking on the model of blaster rifle. DC-17. It's like a...
I was going to say 50? Okay.
It's kind of like your standard issue... Kind of like your standard issue sort of Star Wars looking gun in a sense. There's no obvious place to load bullets into is the first thing that kind of catches you off guard. But otherwise it's got like a strap, a trigger... and there is crystal that runs all the way from the trigger point through to the tip of the barrel.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop that off with Sky and Atira via the octopus.
Yep.
And I guess I'll wait to see who my partner for crossing the lake is.
Atira is going to gingerly reach down and pick up the gun.
You take it from the octopus, who gives you an 8-arm salute.
I assume I probably have a little frog friend that reaches out and waves.
He's like sat at the edge of the lake with his little frog feet in the water, splashing.
Oh my god, I love him. But this gun, holding it. Is this a one-handed or like
Two-handed.
something that's better two-handed? Okay.
Yeah. You want to brace it against your shoulder. You want to be able to have a platform at the end of it to hold it up. And yeah, two hands.
Sniper
Feels it.
rifle.
Yeah, not quite that big or heavy, but still pretty big.
Aloud, she kind of speaks to Sky like, you know, when we were given guns on one of our first missions, I didn't like the feeling of it. Fitting in my hands, almost too light for what it was. It's a bit better, in my opinion.
She looks at the weapon and says, I've not seen this model before. The companies are coming up with more and more improved weapons. Eventually it will catch up with us.
Disconcerting thought.
It depends. Depends on who's holding it. If it can be used against the miasmic, then maybe it will save lives. Maybe we won't have to live with such short lifespans because of the shells anymore. Just worried about anyone else getting hold of it, really.
Eyes.
That would be unfortunate. Who's jumping in the water with Clara on the other side?
Who do we got left?
Dafer. Yeah, Uther and Caliban.
I guess I'll go.
Okay. The two of you jump into the water. Uther, do you want to give me a perception check as they're swimming across?
Yep. Sorry, I was looking at the DC 17 versus the DC 15. The 17's a goofy looking.
It is a little goofy looking.
Actually, Sam,
Yeah.
can I as well, on the basis that while I might not be able to hit anything in the water, if it's like near-ish to the surface, where it would have to be to attack Clara, etc., I could at least disturb the water.
Yeah, give me a perception check just to see if you can do something to like scare it off or something like that if you see something. Yeah. Okay.
I see nothing.
Uther, as Clara and Caliban are swimming across, you recognize that the way that Caliban's hair moves through the water with the ebb and flow of movement, these tendrils of silver sort of run off, it doesn't look too unlike some sort of squid-like entity. It is for that reason that one of the squids is currently making its way up towards Caliban. It doesn't seem overly aggressive, more curious as it sees this odd squid in the water. What would you like to do?
You're about to have a friend.
I guess, yeah, Caliban. Uther yells out to you, you're about to have a friend.
Oh boy, I like look around just to see where it is.
Yeah, you see it. It's currently like big bulbous eyes on that arrow-shaped head of the squid as it's coming up towards you. It's a little bit see-through, so you can like, it's almost got this like blue jelly-like appearance to it, somewhere between a jellyfish and a squid. It is hard to tell exactly what it's looking at, but you do get the feeling its attention is on you as one of the tendrils peels off and starts to like reach up towards your hair strands.
Oh no! Just sort of like catches it with like a finger,
You like grab,
like so it doesn't touch his hair.
you like grab the tendril.
Yeah.
You find it very quickly puts two more tendrils around your hand and like holds onto your wrist as it starts to explore up your arm with the tendrils, curiously sort of checking out the composition of your body, Caliban, as it starts to explore you. You do catch a glimpse of the huge beak in amongst these tendrils as it starts to like make its way up your arm, coming up towards your neck and like, yeah, just trying to like work its way up your body with its tendrils.
Does
I
it
am
have
aiming at it, but I haven't blasted yet.
Yeah, I can say you've got a clear line of sight because it's come up to the surface of the water.
The squid is exploring Caliban's. I don't like the implications of that.
What would
No,
you like
what
to
do I know about? What do I know about? What do I know about squids to like get the stop?
Fairly intelligent, food motivated, like everything else. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna grab one of its tentacles and bite it.
Just gonna bite it.
I'm gonna bite it.
I can't even work out. Like, it's kind of an hit attack, I guess. But I mean, you're not gonna miss.
Is the
I
intent to actually hurt it or to just like give
Just
it
to
the scare or
just to
something?
like get it to like, no, I'm not food.
I'm trying to
And
work out.
but just hard enough to know that I will bite it. Like I have the capacity to bite off the tentacle.
I'm trying to work out what.
this is coming from the nobleman, by the way. The very refined, elegant man is like something exploring me. I don't.
I have to say, it's been a
feral.
while since I've had to sit here and think about what the skill check is for bite strength. I think it might be intimidation. I think intimidate the squid for me.
Intimidate the squid.
Intimidate the squid. 9. It is rubbery and unpleasant, and there is like the taste of blood as you do pierce the outer skin. Unfortunately for you, it responds in an unpleasant manner as it like grips tighter. I need an athletics check from you, please, Caliban.
Okay.
I will roll an athletics check as a squid. Give me 1 second.
What a sentence.
Ooh, roll 20 is giving me the chug-a-chug. Statistically, I win this. I've got a +3. I'm just waiting for roll 20 to tell me I'm right. Does that come up for anyone else? Is the roll come through for anyone else? Ah, there we go. You watch as Caliban bites it. There's a momentary pause, and all of a sudden Caliban is pulled under the surface as the squid starts swimming down with Caliban in its grasp. Oh. Step 1, quit Discord. Step 2, reopen Discord. Step 3, profit? Ooh, our internet is really suffering, huh? Come on. downloading anything on Steam? No. Let's check, is Discord down? No. Time to break the illusion for a second and check some stuff. I'll be right back. Well, on the upside, I have gummy worms. On the downside, I don't think I've got Discord. Oh, it's trying. It's starting. It's giving me weird facts about Discord's history. Oh. Here we go.
Side.
Speak to me.
Hello?
Hello?
Ah, now
Hey!
you make some sounds.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Wow, I don't know where I just went, but it was dark and no one talked to me.
You're
Yeah.
you're about to
Yeah.
narrate a hostile exploration of Caliban's body.
I guess
Well then.
my connection to Discord got dragged down into the depths along with Caliban. On a 22, you are in fact grappled by the squid and it begins to drag you under the water surface. As Caliban, you get like half a breath of air before all of the sound.
Can I shoot that?
Yeah,
fucking
go ahead
thing?
and make an attack roll. Also, I have gummy worms.
Nice.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's what took you.
I had to go check the router and there were gummy worms there, so.
I want some gummy worms now.
18, that does hit. Go ahead and roll for damage. And technically you have an ally within 5 feet.
Yep. Making
It's
sure
me,
that's
I'm the
right.
ally.
You are technically an ally in this instance. You are also technically in danger.
Oh, fuck. I think you turbo killed the squid.
The bullet does go through the squid one side to the other, as one might expect. There is a blossom of blood and ink in the water. Caliban, you suddenly go blind as far as you can tell, and the suckers are still suckered to you. there's still a weight on your body. You are still going down into the water. Is there anything in particular you would like to do, Caliban?
Is the squid dead as far as I can tell?
It's no longer actively pulling on you, so yes.
I'm grabbing the squid and I'm like dragging. I'm swimming up.
Give me an athletics check.
All right.
As you go, something about the way the tentacles are wrapped around you kind of tangles up your other arm. You get caught in an odd position. You're unable to make the a proper displacement of water, and you continue to sink. Clara, you watch as Caliban goes into the water. You're pretty sure the squid's dead. You watch the bullet go through it. He has not come back up. Instead, you're just seeing bloop, bloop, bloop of bubbles as they're coming up to the surface.
I'm going to sigh and dive down and see what the problem is.
Yes.
Diving down into the water, give me a perception check at disadvantage, Clara, as there is the cloud of blood and ink.
11.
You can just about make out the fact that Caliban is in a tangle of tentacle arms, essentially, arms tied in some weird knot of squid.
I'm gonna take out this dagger that I have.
Mhm.
Oh, it's fucking what's her face's dagger?
Crescent, yep.
Crescent.
Oh,
Yes, it's
well,
Crescent's dagger. I'm gonna take that and I guess go and hack away some of the tentacles for him.
Yeah,
Caliban sees Clara and he considers whether to be saved or whether he should just let the squid take him.
I was gonna say, approaching with a knife in hand.
I Clara coming back up to the surface of the water. Couldn't do anything, he's dead. The squid stabbed him 18 times in the chest before he died.
He had it coming.
But yeah, easy enough, Clara. You managed to cut through a few of the tentacles before the two of you surface. The rest of your journey across the lake is uneventful.
I grab whatever of the tentacles that I can.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You come up on the other side of the water with a pair of squid tentacles, roughly about the length of your your hand to your forearm, where your elbow is.
You keep what you kill. And then I throw them at Uther.
They get 20 foot across the lake before they splash into the water.
Well, that's a bit of waste, isn't it?
I'm gonna pick
they're
the
yours.
chakra back up so I
You-
can potentially
What, you allergic
protect
to
the
seafood or
boys.
something?
Do you think
No,
I'm
I'm
cooking
sorry,
anything
I'm
that we
late.
find down here?
Yeah.
I'm back at the beginning.
Clara, you managed to finish off what Sky had started, sort of from the stonework. I think it's Dafer and Uther to cross.
All right, off we go. Let's stick together, and maybe we get neither heels nor squids nipping at our feet.
Let's avoid the squid explosion.
I think none of us look particularly squid-like. We should be good.
I think Uther is advising of avoiding the blood and ink sort of cloud that has occurred because of the dead squid.
Chummed the water on that one.
I think that's exactly what you guys see is you swim across and you take a wide berth. There is activity in the middle, but it's other squids coming for an easy meal and some small carnivorous fish and things like that have kind of been drawn to the center of the lake where that happened. You guys are able to swim around it and get to the other side before all of you now near the entrance to the ossification.
I would be kind of dragging the knife around below me too. So would I see anything else interesting down there, or is it mostly just the one mercenary?
You do see a few more examples of worked stone. It's very much it's columns like the Parthenon, these big like the most generic sort of looking columns, right? With the lines up them
Yeah.
and the sort of like swirls at the top.
Default carved column.
Yeah. What you do, because you can't quite see beyond, you know, the corona of the dagger, you're not sure whether there are multiple stacked on top of each other, or whether it goes all the way down into the dark as one continuous column. It's a little hard to make out. It's also quite badly damaged, you would say. Like, sections of it have been broken, eroded.
But what I'm hearing is, like, this is way deeper than we assume.
Yeah, it could keep going for hundreds, if not thousands of feet. You have no way of telling looking at it from where you are.
Nightmare.
Other than cutting the rope loose and losing the dagger, but maybe seeing how far down it goes. That's one potential thing you could do, but other than that, it remains a mystery.
I kind of don't want to throw away the dagger.
No, it's been useful. I thought I should let you know that would be possible.
Yeah. That was what I wanted to check on before we exited this pool.
Yeah, you get to the other side without a problem. The chummed water sort of serving as the distraction that Dafer thought of in the first place.
Andrew, real quick, did you check your stream?
It should be fine. Seems to be.
I just saw Diana mention a couple minutes ago.
When I first joined, the Fuji Tech stuff was down. I don't know if it's back up again, or maybe I need to restart it. Give me 1 second.
Let me double check your stream if I can.
I think it's still working. It's like 5 minutes behind me. That's one thing I will say, which is way longer than the usual delay, but we'll take it. Yeah.
Okay, no.
Oops.
Oh.
It's up?
Yeah, I was clicking on it to double check.
No, thank you. Cool. No, we're good. Make it to the other side of the lake. In front of you is this entrance into the ossified tunnel. With the light source of the dagger being up close, as you pull it up, you see a little bit further into it. It's not one simple straight tunnel. It's got like dips in it. It also seems to split off to the left and the right and then rejoin itself at certain intervals as well. So if you think there's like one long tunnel with regular dips in the ceiling and the floor, so it sort of like flares out at the top of the bottom, and at the same time there are separate tunnels that head off to the left and right that go off on their own a little bit and then just rejoin a little later down. If that makes sense. Sort of goes like that. At least from a top-down perspective.
Okay.
Does seem to be made of that fused bone that you've seen before. Not as porous as normal bone would be, a lot heavier and denser. 1 second. There we go.
Bless you.
Thank you. Still on the other side of the sickness, but good. Yeah, that's what you see. Anything in particular you'd like to do?
Other than go first, like the meat shield I am, not much.
Okay. Heading into the tunnels first, day first. Sky kind of joining, not quite side by side for you. There's not enough space to be exactly side by side if you're just going down the main tunnel. If you want to split out and go the other sides, then technically like 3 or 4 of you can get down it at the same time. You just kind of have to go through the side tunnels as well.
I think Dafer would just stick to the middle and keep an eye for the openings left and right, because like stuff could come out of those. Like that's a prime hiding spot for Ember stuff.
Okay, so Dafer and Sky going down the central kind of column tunnel of this tunnel. Anyone else behind know what they would like to do? Whether you want to split off down the sides or just...
I'll go down the side tunnel.
Okay. And here you're going off to the left or the right?
I'm gonna say left.
Okay. Anyone heading down the right side, behind Dafer and Sky?
I think I'm gonna have to go with it here because I don't want her to go off on her own and die.
Oh!
Unless you'd like to, I can just not.
Yo, it's just the assumption, you know?
Well, I hate to tell you this, pal, but you were swimming with eels, and also last session you almost died in quicksand. Like, I just want to make sure you...
You can't see my face, but I'm pouting.
Okay, at least you're alive to pout. What do you want from me?
So, we've got Adhira and Clara left tunnel, Dafer and Sky central tunnel. Do Uther and Caliban want to take the right tunnel? They'll all just keep rejoining, but just so I know what sort of array of individuals is.
Hold on, which side is Dafer taking?
Dafer's in the middle with Sky.
I'll go the right with Uther.
Yeah.
Or I'll go with wherever Uther goes.
Are you heading right?
I'm waiting to see. I can, yeah. I was waiting to see what he was going to do.
Okay.
But so, I'll take the right side.
So the two of you head down the right. Moving through the tunnel, it's a little harder going than you were expecting. The way that the ground dips, it's quite severe, and it's not something you can like easily step across. If you want to step all the way across it, you have to step with your foot at this weird angle and then like push yourself along the walls in order to get yourself over it. So it's easier to like go down into the dip and then step up on the other side. So you're sort of like going up and down constantly, or otherwise wedging and propelling yourself like through the tunnel. It is oddly smooth. The smoky smell is stronger here. It does give the smell of like gunpowder. Smells like like burnt candles or gunpowder or like some sort of fire or smoke has been in this tunnel recently.
Like torch smell, or
it's a bit more like the aftermath of like
gunfight.
Yeah, more like the aftermath of a gunfight.
Am I crazy, Caliban, when I think this smells like a gunfight, or
smells like a gunfight?
Yeah, a lot of powder burning at once.
Do I smell the same thing?
Having grown up shooting, like as your family would have trained you for certain events, like we've seen. Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Sword just takes out his sword again, just in case. Yeah. Did it smell recent, or?
I would say give me a survival check, Caliban, as you would probably have more experience than most with this. 9. It's hard to say. It's very faint. It could either be a while ago or it could be further down the tunnel, and it's only just sort of like wafting to you, if you see what I mean, Caliban.
So remind me, guns here still use gunpowder.
Not every gun uses gunpowder, but most mass-produced guns use gunpowder. For example, the weapon that Clara pulled out of the lake probably uses some sort of magical energy to propel its projectiles. It probably wouldn't use gunpowder.
Railgun.
And gunpowder is made up of
Gunpowder,
sulfur, and a couple other elements.
Saltpeter and
niter. I don't know how you say it actually. But I mean, it's actually harvested here. That's what these mushrooms are used for. The materials it extracts out of the walls, it cultivates an environment where it gets coalesced. Is probably the best word I can use. So yeah, that's what this whole sort of operation here does. They harvest the gunpowder materials from the mushrooms.
Oh, that's smart. Like, so if I were to just like uproot a mushroom, well, quote unquote uproot a mushroom,
In like that,
I would.
yeah. If you found an actual gold bell mushroom and dried it, you would be able to create an explosive by like grinding down the mushroom material and filtering out the powder within it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned to Uther, probably say like mushrooms were probably harvested here. Still, let's not do anything explosive for the most part.
This is a very long tunnel. Even with the light source, you can. It probably goes in one direction, maybe twice as far as you've technically traveled from the pillory down the waterfall caves, right? The waterfall caves tunnels were twists and turns, but the actual distance that this tunnel goes is like wider than the city atop Calderis. It's a very long, perfectly level tunnel, except for the dips internally, but like it's at one height, one elevation, and if you had a powerful enough light, you'd be able to see all the way to the caverns on the other side. As is, obviously, you're just sort of moving along it. It's fairly monotonous in that sense. There's no variation in it whatsoever. It's perfectly like the intervals between the tunnels reconnecting is like every 20 feet exactly. The dips down into the ground are like 4 feet down exactly. Like it's all perfect. The further you go, Caliban, there's no sign of mushroom growth here either. No sign of like harvesting operations as well. The smell of the gunpowder is getting more intense. More and more people will be able to pick up on this sort of smoky smell. Everyone give me a perception check.
Yeah, sure thing.
Oh, where?
Uther, as you're rejoining the central tunnel, you see from the light of your dagger as you're kind of coming in back into the middle where everyone else is, your light catches something for a moment, and you see there is a string across from one side of the bone to the other, sort of like a tripwire, essentially.
I am ordering everyone to stop.
Sky halts, and like everyone else sort of behind her is sort of forced to stop as well. As she gets down into a lower position and brings her shield up instinctively to like give some sort of cover, and then she doesn't say anything. She just gives you one eye, and it's very quiet.
I'm going to creep closer to the tripwire and kind of draw her attention to it.
Now that you're closer, now that you're pointing out, it is visible to everyone.
Someone doesn't want us here.
She spends a moment thinking. It's like, I don't think Kathy would use a trap. Then again, we know there are others down here.
Following where the tripwire goes, like what's on the other one? What's on the end side of it? Like what's it likely if it goes? Okay, I would be very careful not to accidentally trigger, for example, a second tripwire. It might be hidden somewhere. Investigation 21.
It attaches to 2 pouches on either side. Getting close to them, the smell is quite intense nearby them. It's a little different than the general smell that you've been smelling, this sort of like smoky smell, but there's something coming from these pouches attached to either side. You get the feeling that these are explosive charges on either side attached to the tripwire. Dayfra.
Hmm.
Understand.
Okay. I don't think I have a justification to know how to disarm traps off the cuff, because neither do I have, like, I feel like that would be Thieves' Tools proficiency or the like, nor do I have Sleight of Hand.
Yeah, I can use Thieves' Tools and try to unhook it all if we want, or Adhera can sleight of hand it.
Ooh, I could sleight of hand it.
Do you want to take
Because
a
I
look
don't
at
have
it?
sleight of hand off. I need to learn that at some point.
Do you want to take a look at it here?
Yes, please.
Give me an investigation check first. 16. You've not had any experience with like explosive traps, Adhira, but there are sometimes in people's homes these sort of like loud noise, like snap traps, as you would call them, that are supposed to alert people. The mechanisms used here aren't too dissimilar to what you've dealt with before. It should be as simple as snipping the middle wire and just letting it, like, the tension fall flat. When out, that's when the problem happens, Adhira. So as long as someone carefully cuts the middle, you don't think there'll be too much of an issue.
I explained that to the group. I leave out the part about, where I would have had experience with this personally. But
Sky will pull out her axe and say, "If you hold the string steady, I'll cut it in the middle."
Okay.
Give me a sleight of hand check, please, Adhira.
Ooh.
You pull it so the tension is perfectly in the middle, and she simply has to press the axe against it. It cuts easily, and you gently put the strings to either side. The trap is disarmed.
Have we taken down the pouches that were hanging up? Could we do that?
You're not sure what is inside the pouch. Without taking like a very close look at the mechanism around it, you're not sure whether you could safely just pull it away. The other thing you would know would work out here is obviously you could cut the pouch and then let whatever's in sort of fall out. But again, that's not foolproof because you don't know what is rigged inside like these it's almost like a cloth like covering basically that prevents you from seeing any of the internals of what's going on there.
Might be best to just leave them be and walk past.
It's kind of nonsense. They haven't gone off. That's a good start. We would be risking it if we tried to poke at it anymore, I suppose.
If I return to my own little subsection of tunnel and let Terminus sort of walk him, he doesn't have a lot of physicality to his form, right? Like,
I think
he could walk through wires.
It would still, because he's creating a more corporeal form when he does this, so it would still impact into it. He's also too short for the wire. He would walk under it.
Oh my god. Okay, well, there goes that idea.
Yeah.
I'll just keep an eye out.
You can't use him as a remote minesweeper to just detonate explosives, unfortunately.
I could give him his harvested mushrooms and turn him into an RCXD.
Sky will look at you, Uther, and say, good catch with the wire. There could be more, so everyone keep your eyes out as we move. As you're continuing down the tunnel, it is the monotony of the tunnel that starts to highlight a few oddities as you move down. You can see sections of bone have been chipped away. In some places, it's like little pock marks in the bone where like something's crashed into it with speed. In other places, you can see the residual of like acidic burns and almost like a weathering type damage in different areas of the bone as well, where like it almost looks like extreme weather, like frost and rainfall and things like that, has like worn down areas of the bone wall that you're traveling along.
Does this look like something that's happened over time, or someone was experimenting here?
Give me an investigation check.
I would support this because Dafer would also be like, wait, does this look like if I were to just poke at walls, would it look like this?
First thing you're able to identify is the damage to the bone wall that seems more physical. Definitely looks like it was done with bullets. In fact, you find a few casings embedded into the walls, as well as what appears to be just like a slither of metal. Not quite like a needle, but more like a
Flechette.
To describe the shape of it, it's like if you were going to write on a chalkboard, like a stick of chalk. It's like that. It's like a little rod of metal embedded into the surface of one of the bone walls. As for the other sort of damages, as far as you can tell, it seems to be the result of magic, like casting of spells, acid splash, things like that has been like impacted into the walls here.
Can I look at that rifle we picked up?
Yeah.
Does the little rods look like something that would come from it, or is that something else entirely?
Putting it near the like exit barrel of the weapon, yeah, it looks like it would fit perfectly.
Well, someone's been fighting through here. And we might have a chance to pick up a few more of those, and I just kind of point my thumb at the gun as I hand it back.
I'm sure it's fighting and not just them trying to break through the wall out of curiosity.
Sky runs her fingers over some of the damage and says, if you were going to break through, you'd probably focus it all in one spot. No, this is all over the place.
Sure.
So what were they blasting?
I reckon they probably got in a firefight with Kathy. Maybe they're the reason she hasn't checked back in. Yeah, I have a question. I have no way of justifying pulling an answer from the void, so I just have to shrug at that one. I mean, you could ask her, I suppose. It depends on what the question is.
It would be more of, would there be a way to, like, tell how old the damage is, but, like, that seems not feasible with limited resources at hand.
Yeah, unfortunately, probably a little bit beyond what you're capable of at this point. But Sky will remark, there are two different kinds of bullet marks here, from the metal rods that you described before and something a bit more traditional. Kathy does use sort of dual weapons, firearms as well.
Sorry, my brain zonked out. What?
There are two
Kathy
kinds.
uses the more traditional firearm.
Yeah, there are two kinds of bullet mark in the wall: the traditional and the rod. And she is surmising that there was probably a fight between Kathy and whoever this group of individuals was.
Check. All that means is that whatever we're seeing here can't be all that recent. So 50-50 on if whatever group caused this is still down here. Oh.
Either way, they've left us gifts. So.
Dave would still prepare for an ambush or military altercation from here on out, pretty much. Because apparently, whoever this was did not hesitate actually shooting at EKs.
Yeah.
So we'll be on the lookout for more tripwires.
Okay. Uther, you're keeping an eye out for tripwires. Anyone else looking for anything else? Or... Okay. Uther, give me a perception check.
Oh boy. Button. Oh no.
As you're moving along, you don't tripwires Uther, but you do find an area where a tripwire was detonated. The smell of smoke is quite heavily coming from here. There's scorch marks all over the bone. It's broken apart enough that there's an actual hole through the bone to the other side in the floor where the ground is like cracked a little bit, but beyond the bone is just dark. You can't see whatever it is that might be down there. It just seems to go down into a void. The hole itself is maybe big enough for like I was about to say a 2p coin, but that doesn't help our American friends. It's like
Small.
You know, like a snooker ball with like, or like a pool ball with the number on it, like the 8 ball. It's about the size of the number on the ball, the actual like circle with the 8 on it.
Are we talking like quarter or 50-cent piece?
I don't know the size of American coins. Sorry, it's like as big as your thumb.
That was directed at Capri, who is been over yonder.
Yeah, sorry.
It's, I'd say close to like a 50-cent. Okay. I find it funny, but he's like, I need to make this, much better for our American friends.
Coin. Yeah, it's a quarter. It's the size of a quarter.
Size of a quarter.
Okay.
And then he immediately just says snooker ball. It's like, okay.
I mean, I'm sure pool balls are fairly universal in size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just forgot which one had the numbers on it for a second. That was all.
So I could definitely get like 2 fingers in there.
Yes.
I'm gonna feel on like how far down does it go? Because like this is, it's not like I can immediately reach forward and feel on the other side of the bone. Like it's gonna be like a shaft of bone. I hate the word.
Do you want to push your fingers through and feel around or not? That's my. Okay. Getting like on your knees, fingering the bone hole.
Who else but Adhira?
I want to die. I should have let the squid take me.
No, kill me. There's a couple of things that stand out to you. It is, there's like almost like putting your hand into an oven heat. But the heat doesn't come through the gap. You're not feeling it radiate out. It's fingers once you get past the threshold of the bone that it starts to, you feel this very intense heat. It's more like when you first open up an oven and you get hit by that wave of warmth that almost can kill kill your ability to breathe. It's sort of like that intense wave of heat that your fingers feel. Also, there is skin. As your fingers like curl around to the other side, you can feel that while you're inside like a bone protuberance, there's like a fleshy exterior on the outside.
Wait. So inside bone. Once you're outside that bone shell, you feel flesh.
Yeah, there's like a skin, but there's no wetness like you would expect with like bleeding or anything like that. It feels like yeah, it just feels like skin, but with none of like the capillaries and blood. It's like skin layered over bone, with nothing of the other stuff that life
Oh,
would
like-
have.
Mummified corpse, basically.
No, it's not dry or like paper thin or anything like that. It still feels like you're grabbing hold of someone's hand for like a handshake. It's just that you're putting your finger through an open wound, right? There's no blood. There's no. It's both very organic feeling and at the same time adheres to none of the laws of life that you would expect.
Adhira stands back up, sort of like clutching her scythe like a staff. It's just.
Well, that's
And
a
there is
reaction.
no way that kind of thing has been covered in school. Hmm.
I'm not even sure I would want to go to a lecture on bone holes, if I'm honest.
Sky
Himself holes in them.
looks at you, Adhira. Do you tell her what you feel, or?
There's skin on the other side.
So we're at an arm or a
Right.
leg.
Some kind of organism. Whatever it is, it's big and it's old. It hasn't moved in such a long time that people think it's some sort of odd geological feature.
But where does it? Is it just the ossified tunnels that are part of it, or is it more?
I don't know.
I'd like to consult my friend. If he's old, yeah?
Yeah.
He's real old.
Yes.
Does he know of anything that would be as old and large as this?
And have a hole blasted in its arm and not notice.
Give me an Arcana check with advantage. Tease Adhira. Whew. He
Good number.
thinks for a moment. Says, well, mythologically speaking, there are many great beings in this world, larger and more unfathomable than you could ever comprehend, even if I told you about them, really. However, your very specific and disturbing description doesn't bring anything particular to mind. Perhaps it is some sort of deep-sea creature that has become lodged in place. I never had much to do with the water spirits.
Well,
Sam, somewhat unsettling thought. So, what if we're inside a hollow, very big bone?
Mm-hmm. Could be possible.
Like we're on the inside of the bone and not like anything else. Does that feel
You do feel more
somewhat
like
realistic?
you do feel more like you're inside of an arm or spine or something like that as you're looking around right now, Dayfair. With the knowledge that the skin is outside of where you're stood, you do feel more like you're inside of something rather than anything else right now.
Yeah. I was like, porous bone. Maybe we're in one of those pores, or maybe it's just like with a bird, they have like hollow bones, and we're inside the hollow bone, and that's like very. I very much wonder how much of Caldaris at large is part of some kind of organism, and how much isn't.
Your little frog friend, Terminus, would kind of pipe up and say, well, I mean, in colony, generally speaking, many of those can be a single organism, all told. They're all connected together. It's not uncommon for huge organisms to exist, just not in the sense that most of you would think.
The I don't know, skin and bone in a mushroom colony?
You're more like a mushroom than you think. He pats you on the ankle.
What does that mean?
Oh,
Do we know of cell biology?
no. But he would just say,
Okay.
mushrooms talk, you know? They have communities. They build cities. We went through one. It was noisy. Come to think of it, it was a little bit too noisy for how old this place is. You'd think someone would be in charge up there.
You would know, I suppose.
Normally, once the mycelial networks connect, one voice kind of comes in above all. It's funny. They were all yelling over each other like they were, well, children.
Would something have taken out the largest one and caused a problem at some point?
I suppose the mycelial heart of whatever was the oldest mushroom up there could have been damaged, but gosh, it's hard to imagine something doing that. It's a huge network. The core were probably protected by countless layers of, well, who knows what.
There was a project mentioned about a heart transplant, but
The little frog's brow furrows.
it might have been to do with creating a more controlled mushroom farm, but we only have a piece of the blueprints and cannot figure out what the hell they're doing.
If they pulled out the core of the gold bell mycelium, that would be very irresponsible. It's just going to devolve everything else into chaos. No one's going to know what's going on up there. Everything's either going to overgrow or undergrow, and then everything's going to fall apart.
I didn't say it was a good idea. I'd just say that's something they were proposing.
Shouldn't they know better?
The frog nods.
Well, that's never an excuse. So many people always know better, they just choose not to follow what they know.
I mean, sure, wherever you transplant the mycelial heart to, that colony is going to do fine. But everything else left behind, all the diversity here, all the other mushrooms. Kind of flops down into a sitting position.
Kind of sit down next to him and rub his head. How long or what would it take to create a new heart? Wouldn't we just go to then the second oldest mushroom? Wouldn't that form something?
It's more complicated than that. Imagine if I took from you your childhood, everything that's happened to you up until this moment, but your body was the same. Do you think you'd be the same person?
No. No, I wouldn't.
That's what they've taken. If that's what's happened, that's what they've taken.
If we were to find whatever this was and I could take it back, would you be able to set things right?
I don't know. I mean, I've never had to do something like that. I could try. I don't even know how you would move something like that. Kind of deflates a little. just
This
sort
is
of-
the saddest I've seen him.
Yeah. He just kind of like shrinks a little into himself. Sky kneels down, picks up Terminus, kind of like scoops him into one hand and raises him up so that they're eye to eye.
My child.
And says, we'll look into it. We have a section of the plans. Kathy was worried about it too. Either she's gone, and I would like to take care of what she was trying to do here, or she's somewhere in these tunnels, and we can look into it together. Little frog nods. And then just fizzles and goes into the lamp at your waist. Sky looks at you, Atira, says, we should keep moving.
Now, if we were to get into the theoretical chamber space, wouldn't this possible opening right in front of us be a way in, or would we look for something small out?
If you widened it somehow, I mean, the detonation that went off here looked to be pretty powerful, and at best it created this small hole, likely due to, like, pressure, right? There was nowhere for the pressure to go, so it made a gap. Now that there is this small gap, it's going to be even harder, in a sense. You could, like, wedge something in and break it apart, but there is the question of how wise that is, right? Like, you'd be opening up and you have no idea whether it's an 8,000 foot drop underneath you or whether the ground's like 30 feet away. There's no...
How many times can you use your smoke thing?
Oh,
smoke
oh,
thing?
once.
Okay.
You can phase through material.
Oh, yeah, only once.
Because I was sitting there thinking, well, you could lower a rope through the hole, and then you could phase through the hole and grab the rope.
But then I'd be trapped, in the worst case.
For a week. Or a day. I don't know how
A week.
that recharges. Oh, yeah, that would be hell. Let's
Yeah.
not do that.
You doing okay in there? No! Only 6 more days! Sky
just
Sky says,
simple M&M's for...
there are easier paths ahead of us. Let's take the easy route before we start trying to drop down into the void. There's always more
What it's
equipment.
calling.
We can always grab more equipment that might be better suited to it as well if we want to take this path. She picks up her shield and starts making her way slowly forward, keeping an eye out for more trouble as she's going.
I'm starting to think.
Yeah, following along with her.
I'm starting to think this field trip was a bigger headache than it was pitched.
I'm sure they are all this eventful.
Hard cut to another class eating ice cream and having a good time.
How do you think the new class is getting along? We ate lizard on a stick. You continue down the corridor for a while. There is more sign of conflict as you're going. Like an ongoing firefight that was fought down like a good maybe 20% of the tunnel you've traveled through, with like bullet marks and spells being exchanged. Like there was a retreating battle or like something like that fought through this tunnel for quite some distance. Pretty intense conflict as well. Like there's a lot of bullet marks and other things dotted through here. But as you can see, there's no blood or signs of bodies. Like no one dropped during the fight. It was like just attrition as far as you can tell between two sides as you're making your way through the tunnel. After a little bit, Sky stops for a second, kneels down, and picks up what appears to be like a torn section of maybe like a backpack or like a satchel-looking thing. Opens it up. Inside is a notebook with a huge bullet hole through it, and what appears to be like some amount of emergency crystals, one of which she notes is a sending crystal for sending messages.
Well, there's why she's not been in contact.
What is interesting is
Actually-
anytime I tried to get in contact with her, it was blocked by something.
I have not used sending crystals myself out of sheer lack of having them. How do they react if the person is dead?
You get the sense that the message is blocked. The message goes to the mind. If the mind isn't there, it sort of... You feel as if you are thinking into nothing. That is the sense I got when they sent the message. But it also works if someone is inside of a reality anchor or out of materials such as lead. Other things can block it as well. It's not infallible.
I would imagine it would be hard to get a sending out of a cave this deep.
It would be difficult. Not impossible.
Skimming through the notebook, not really reading it, just looking through the letters. Like the writing does look like Kathy's handwriting from what we've seen.
It does look like Kathy's writing, yeah.
Okay. And just like glancing through it, given the sheer size of the bullet hole inside of it, are any of the content actually still legible, or is it just basically ruined and can forget about it?
It is legible, but Dafer, as you're reading it, it seems encoded. Whatever she's written in this notebook, it looks gibberish to you, but the grammar seems correct, which lets you think, well, she's done something to this. You can't understand it, but the letters are crisp. Obviously, there's gaps in it because there's a huge fucking hole through the middle, but yeah, it seems it's legible. We'll put it that way.
So this is definitely Kathy's. However, apparently, if you had, well, this is too regular for her to be having a stroke, but it certainly reads like she had one.
Sky looks at it. Not my forte. Interesting.
I don't suppose you happen to know anything she would use for a key, huh?
She thinks for a moment, says, she did speak Coptic. Other than that, I don't know.
Oh boy, here I go. And I lean in to pick up the book from Dafer's hands.
As you lean, all of a sudden there is a deafening crack. You see Sky get hit by something big. It sends her like careening off of one of the surfaces of the bone tunnel. She manages to get to her feet again, but you can tell she's been rattled by whatever hit her. She just yells down, and like basically throws herself into one of these divots, puts her shield up.
Ducking.
Evasive maneuvers.
Ready to parry at a moment's notice.
I mean, I'm staying up until I've seen the rest of my party go down, then I drop down.
Yeah, so Atira one of the side tunnels or jump into one of the like dips and get low.
Side tunnels.
Okay, you jump into one of the side tunnels. Anyone else?
They hit the deck.
Clara goes down into one of the dips. Uther, was that a side tunnel?
Side tunnel.
Caliban.
Shit, that's
Do you want to dip down, or do you want to like press yourself into like
I'll I'll dip down, but I'm not running away from whatever
Okay.
is attacking.
So you keep yourself like somewhat up. You're just like lowering your profile a little bit. Dafer.
I mean, first quick glance, if can I see any shape within 60 feet of me that looks like it could have been
Looking
the
ahead
source
of
of
you,
that?
you see nothing.
Okay. In that case, I would be like dipping down into one of the divots, and then at one point just blindly pulling out my hand blindly in the direction of where the shot came from, like as in like that hole, randomly, and then just shoot one of my shock waves in that direction
Yeah,
at full tilt.
Shockwave goes down the direction. There's like a cacophony of noise as the solid sound wave goes along. Caliban. Not long afterwards, you hear a crack. You get a brief flash of metal. Something is heading towards your exposed section of your body. What do you want to do?
Getting ready to attack whatever it is.
Do you want to give me a parry roll? Because it does seem to be a projectile, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Let's
serve
see.
shot at.
Okay, it says I can only parry with melee attacks, but it's just...
I'm fine with you parrying this, yeah.
Let's see.
It's cooler.
Yeah. If I recall, do I still use D8s for this?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me just check to verify. Yeah, okay. One sec. All right. D8, 4.
You manage to deflect the bullet, but the shockwave of energy coming through the blade into your wrist, you feel something pull and strain. You take 13 points of damage as the shockwave of energy goes up your arm and sort of like jars your shoulder. Still sends you back and down into the ground as the energy transfers through you. The bullet you deflected lodges up and punches through the bone wall up and to the right, and like puts a clean hole through it, going up and out the side of the tunnel you're in, Caliban, as you kind of tumble back down into one of the gaps behind you. The sound of the gunshot and the ringing metal like filling the tunnel where you guys are.
Who has the rifle?
I do.
Do you know how to shoot a gun?
I do.
You know how to shoot a
else
gun
do that?
well.
I don't we get do we get proficiency in all weapons, or
I would say that you would have
Most
had
is not.
some limited combat training with firearms, either from Axel sort of talking you through it when he handed out those weapons, or that you
okay,
could
so enough to use it,
Yeah.
not
enough to use.
okay, yeah.
If you want to fire off into
Used.
the dark, you'd be at disadvantage, of course, because you're just sort of like shooting down a tunnel wildly, basically. But
Can no, it'd have to be from. Do we know the direction? Yeah.
yes,
But the way that if the direction that Caliban was thrown might indicate the opposite.
yes, correct.
Let me just make a quick. Text. Yep. All right. I'm going to poke around and fire blindly into the darkness.
Give me an attack roll disadvantage. You raise the weapon, pull the trigger. There's a pulse from the crystalm, and just as you feel like some sort of energy transfer will go through, a voice comes into your mind and says, Helix form rejected, weapon disabled, and it cuts out.
Excuse me?
She throws the gun down on the ground.
Did you just throw
It backtalked me.
The fuck does that mean?
It said something rejected.
Sky raises her shield up. A couple of seconds later, a hole punches through the top right corner, carving a notch out of one side of the shield, which she lowers down to look at. The edge is sort of smoldering from the impact where it was, and she just like has a sour look on her face, and she looks at her favorite piece of gear with this huge hole punched out of one side of it. Says, well, this isn't going to be useful. How the...
Okay, who's fast? Who's really fast?
That'd be me. Waldorf, what are you planning?
Would you like to be faster?
I wouldn't say no.
If I make you faster, do you feel confident in dodging railgun shots?
I can try.
Sky closes her eyes, thinks for a moment, says, there's 20-foot gaps between the side tunnels. We could have someone draw a shot and then have a few people dash to the side tunnels. I don't know how far away the shooter is, but we could get there bit by bit, moving closer.
Screw it, I can try drawing the shot, you guys run.
I would like you to notice the hole in the Great Shield.
She'll look at you, Dave, and say, I'm sure you could take a few shots, but if we can avoid taking it altogether, all we need is something to poke out. They seem eager to take a shot. They went for the shield despite the fact there was nothing behind it.
Clara wipes a tear. I'm sorry, Mr. Octopus.
Wait, what?
Are you gonna throw the octopus out to take a shot?
That's my plan. Look, he's a familiar, right?
Yeah.
They'll go back in the pocket dimension. He'll be fine.
Okay.
Do familiars retain memories?
I think it depends on whether you want them to or not, because you could summon a new identity if you wanted to, otherwise they're the same identity. So if you want to keep the octopus that was shot, Clara certainly can, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I want to sabotage myself next...
Drama.
So there's 20 foot between you and the next interval of side tunnels. If you wanted to dash, you could get further, obviously, because you could get up to the 40-foot side tunnels for cover. I guess my question is, how far can you guys move, and how far do you want to move?
I can move 100 feet.
I could
60
double
is my
that.
limit.
I could double that for you if you want.
Fuck it, we ball.
I'm going to reach into the inner pockets of my coat. I'm going to hold a crystal between two fingers, kind of just close my eyes, focus, and tap you with it. You are hasted.
Hasted? Oh my god.
Okay, so
I've been hiding the fun shit.
Oh.
Adhira, your base movement speed is what now?
My base movement speed, 1 second, is
70 or
100.
something.
My base movement speed is 50. 50.
So normally unhasted, you move 50.
Yes.
So now hasted, you move 100. You can action dash for 200. You can haste dash for 300.
Win?
And if you step over the wind and use a key point, you've got 400 feet of movement. That seems correct to me?
Yes.
Okay.
That is.
I love hasting monks. It's stupid.
Okay.
There is, I think, a surge of that spiritual energy that is just washing over her. She looks like she's on drugs.
My question to you here is, as Clara throws her octopus out and the gunshot disintegrates it, it just vaporizes as the bullet goes through it. Are you trying to get as far as you can? Obviously, your party's not going to be able to keep up with you if you move 400 feet or 300 feet. Do you want to risk going off on your own ahead of everyone else?
I am going to use normal dash for my action, and then for my hasted action is going to be a dodge. So that's going to be 200 feet, and then if I don't see anyone, I'm trying to either be dodging or be in a side tunnel.
Okay. As the gunshot goes off, as the octopus disappears from existence, so does Atira. There's almost like a pressure wave as quickly as she moves. Crystal energy, the spiritual energy of Terminus and her own shell sort of mingling into one blur of sort of like heat waves coming off of her as she down the tunnel. Sky is going to go like the full 60 feet before diving into one of the side tunnels. I don't know if anyone else is moving further or whether you're just trying to keep pace with Sky or...
I try to keep pace with Sky because Atira can't, she must not get too far ahead of us simply because getting separated here means death.
I'm going to expand one of my covers and try to overlap it with her shield. So I'm going to try to keep pace with her.
Okay, so you're also at 60. Anyone moving further than 60, or are they happy just moving up while Atira gets ahead?
I think I might try and stick as close to her as I can.
How far can you get?
I think I can get 90 if I bonus action dash.
So you could get to the
cunning action dash.
80-foot section and then...
Yeah, so I can get 80 and just stay
okay,
as close to her as I can.
So the groups at the moment is Atira rocketing off, Clara a little bit ahead, and everyone else kind of keeping pace with Sky as they're moving up. Atira, give me a perception check.
Oh.
As you're rocketing along, you see a tripwire, which you're able to, very anime jump up, the side wall of the bone tunnel and just completely bypass by going up and over it and then, ricocheting and continue onwards. From what you can see, you're sort of traveling down a tunnel that was rigged up so that whoever this individual, whatever it is at the other end of this, has a straight line firing arc and rigged explosives to stop someone doing exactly what you're doing right now, Atira. This is a very purposely planned defense. Someone is dug in here. What you are able to tell as you're moving along, there's only one target at the very end of wherever this person is shooting from. There's only one set of gunfire coming through. Maybe there's a guard or someone next to them with a melee weapon who's just bodyguarding them close, but something in your head sort of tells you that everything is set up for a lone person to try and defend this tunnel that you're moving down. 200 feet down the tunnel, you feel like you've come such a distance in such a short time, and yet you're still nowhere close to the shooter. The bullet's still coming down the tunnel from ages and ages away, basically. You get the feeling that whoever's firing, they're firing for quite some distance down the tunnel still, as you zip into one of the corners.
I don't know how these gun locks work. I wouldn't know how to unlock one of these fucking things.
Atira, you're ahead of everyone else, sort of on your own. What do you want to do?
I'm contemplating the distance, because I don't think, even with haste, there's a way that I can, Even
You
if I
got 'em-
avoided all the traps,
Mhm.
it's how many more times can I get hit?
I think I can offer you 2 more distractions. I can probably buy you 2 more rounds of time with just like random distracting shit that I have.
Okay.
Random bullshit.
But if you get too far ahead of me, I think there might become a point at which there's like too significant a gap between you
Yeah.
moving and my distraction.
This would have been a good time to have picked up some sort of illusion spell to like create false targets. What is the group thing?
You guys can communicate by yelling, of course. Obviously, that sound will travel, so whatever you communicate might travel to the shooter as well, unless there's some way you think you can communicate without giving it away, of course.
Oh, well, I can speak in Sylvan.
Does any... Oh, one of the persons
I
speaks
do.
Sylvan. Yeah, you could yell in
Yeah.
Sylvan.
Yeah.
So
I
you and Clara can
relay it back.
communicate. Yeah.
Yeah. I can try rushing them, but I'd be far ahead.
I don't think you can get away with that. Hold on, let me figure out how... Well, basically, if you get to a point where we can see them, I think it's fine. I have 2 rounds of things that I can use to distract them from you. So we can probably get like another couple 100 meters down the thing. I
Okay.
do have... I'm just going to preface this. Because I think as soon as we get to see them, I can spend a patience point and try and make him drop the gun. But I would need to be able to see him well enough to hit him. And I don't really trust that gamble unless we're like within 100 feet of him. Yeah, I think doing this at disadvantage is going to fuck me over. And so I suppose the question is, do you think in approximately 200 and something meters we'll be able to see them? Well, 200 feet, I suppose.
Would I be able to make a guess?
I think this is intelligence based because you're not working off what you can see. You're working off like the sound, like the time between the sound and what happens, and like when it comes into view, right? Like you're sort of trying to compute this. It would be, I mean, it doesn't technically have to be adherer, but someone would need to make like just an intelligence check to try and work out what distance the individual is away.
Who has good intelligence?
I got a +2.
I'd let
I
two
got a +1.
I'd let 2 of you work together for advantage if you want as well, because obviously you guys can team up for it.
I'll support
Alright.
whoever has the highest intelligence so they can make the roll.
What's Dafer's intelligence? How are you at
16.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the engineers.
So yeah, so Dayfridge, you want to give an intelligence check at advantage? Sounds like.
Okay. 21.
Oh, 21, right. Working together, you guys estimate that Adhera moved 200 feet ahead. Adhera is about 300 feet away from them.
So that's a step of the... That's movement, hasted dash, step of the wind dash, and then action attack that she could do. But that's
You
a single
think
attack that she could do, so that's not gonna knock him out.
You think Adhira said meep meep before she started moving?
Yeah, but so quickly you didn't hear it. Just
Yeah. However, if Hero
Supersonic.
starts distracting him, we can just rush.
R2D2 scream.
I can do dash, and then I can do step of the. Ooh, no, I can do action, hasted action, dash, and then I can start using my bonus action to overwhelm him with spirit form.
Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
And then you're waiting for a distraction from Clara, yes?
Correct.
What were you throwing out, Clara?
I have my other crystal. I'm gonna throw a chromatic orb down the corridor.
Oh, okay. Any particular type?
I'm gonna say lightning because I feel like that's the most distracting.
Yeah, there's a crackle of energy. As the orb goes up, the bullet punches straight through the orb. You watch the orb get dispelled, interestingly enough, as if hit by a dispel magic spell as the bullet passes through it. Adhira, using your bonus action, hasted action, and movement, yeah?
Yes. No, action and then hasted action. I'm saving
Gotcha.
my bonus action.
Okay, you zoom forward. I need a perception check.
Yes. Oof, no.
Dexterity saving throw. You're in a decent spot to avoid the worst of it, but...
Oh, I make these at advantage, I think.
Yeah, you're hasted.
Yeah,
So
right.
17. So you don't have evasion yet, so you do still take damage.
Yeah.
Let's see if roll 20 will keep up. 15 halved is oftentimes 7.
Okay. Gonna eat through 10 HP, and then I'm at 31.
D&D, making me sound stupid when it comes to math since the beginning of time.
Interesting.
There's a flash as the gunpowder goes on. You get up close to the target. As it comes into view for you, Adhira, it is wearing similar armor to the individual that was kind of stuck in the bottom of the water. It's got like khaki military cargo pants with like big pockets for various like bullets and other things, carrying what appears to be some sort of like 50 caliber sniper rifle with a little end props to like balance
Bipods.
it. Yeah, bipods, thank you. Big scope. Wearing a cloak that has a bunch of eyes on the inside of the material that seem to be looking at you as you get close, all of them swiveling to pay attention. The cloak also extrudes up into a torso that sits kind of out of their right-hand shoulder up. There is a head of kind of like a white mask with a single one of these is on it, and growing out of that is an arm that seems to be holding a weapon. And you also see that beyond just this cloak, there is an individual holding the main gun with a similar sort of mask. You get up really close, and it appears to be like a well-trained soldier with this weird cloak that appears to be a separate entity yet conjoined to them. What do you want to do?
Does, in this split second, does this feel like a spirit? Like the tumor, does it feel like a spirit?
There is an
And this
there is an animosity that comes from your lamp that you've only felt once before, and it was a fight that happened outside of your academy when you were fighting the mercenary with like a machine gun that attacked the school. Do you remember? There was like a fiendish spirit, similar, like almost identical.
Adhira will grit her teeth as the hasted energy coalesces and explodes from her as she activates the spiritual form.
And that's a dexterity saving
But-
throw from them, yes?
Yes. He's prone, right?
He's actually stood. He's hooked the bipod into the wall, essentially, and is using his weight to lean up against it. If you imagine he's got one hand on the rifle, technically, he's just put all of his weight on his right shoulder to lean up against it. So he's got one eye on the scope, and the other arm is free.
So the rifle is fixed and cannot be moved around easily.
It's not fixed so much as it is wedged. I think wedged is probably the best word I would use.
Okay. Yeah. He takes 2 rolls of my dice, I think. Let me check. I never put this on my... Yes, so
And it's force damage, right?
2d... Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 2d4. 7 points of force damage.
Is that just like is it like a Nova force, or are you hitting him with the scythe? What does that look like?
That is like a Nova force.
There is an explosion, with the weird, like, position they're in. They try to pull away, but, I mean, they have to, like, unwrench their weapon from the wall. So, poof, get smacked up against the wall there. I'm gonna say we're gonna need to roll for some initiative. Give me 1 second. Ooh, they've changed what the initiative thing looks like. There it is.
Ironically enough, I feel like the entire combat might be Adhira just on her own, because by the time we get there, it's over.
I'm not
I'll try to
overly
take it.
far away.
We're good.
I'm in range to actually hit them, judging by how far she went, like, next
I,
round.
I can always pass off, and I can use my rogue bullshit to catch up, but then that's...
And I'm just not that fast. I have my 60 feet, so
Yeah.
I'll be taking the 7 to 8 rounds. So basically, I'm not in combat. Like I can roll initiative if it makes everyone happy, but I'm pretty sure I'm not
Oh,
a
no.
factor in this fight.
I'm
but-
huge.
Let's see. Let me just. Oh,
What?
Yes, another +1 for the small women.
I see that you are pulling from the same image set.
Why are you defaulting to 8?
I actually have permission from the artist. Very nice person. Did some Borderlands 3 art.
Sick.
But yeah, I've seen that art set. I really like it because I think Dalton showed it to me a long time ago, and it's very much his sort of taste.
Yeah, it's very cool.
wow.
Hi.
Oh, I should probably be further up than like here.
How's Annie?
Here, could you move could you move slightly away from the token for a bit so I can screenshot it for the wiki?
You should be able to see it in the character list because I think I revealed it to you.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just got
yeah,
the...
okay. Then I
thing
shall
for it.
grab it from there. Ah, there.
And I don't have
How many
spirit,
enemies does this frog have?
but everybody wants to be his enemy.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Did that not roll? Is she not on the list? Feels like it didn't roll. Give me 1 second. Oh, there it is. Wow, my roll 20 is really slow. I apologize for if this takes a bajillion years going forward, but Dafer, yeah, are you just sprinting your 60 forward, yeah?
Pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, you just take full barrel, having heard Adhira's like explosion of force, and you can hear that Adhira is in combat ahead of you. Sky is going to run up next to you, and with her combat arm damage, she's actually just going to throw Dafer.
What do you mean?
Oh,
She's throwing this motherfucker at the other motherfucker.
We'll see if that
I'm not-
eventually does roll.
How am I used as a projectile? What the hell?
She picks you up and like does a full rotation and throws you another 30 foot forward. You are now 150.
Scruff of the neck, seat of the pants.
Adhira. The spiritual, like, fiendish energy cloak of him manifests a weapon as a huge great bow. Both weapons not great in close quarters here where you are. The rifle barely fits end to end. Like, in order to shoot you with this rifle, Adhira, they'd have to, like, pin you against the wall with the barrel and pull the trigger. Like, if they get the shot off, you're not dodging, but it's hard for them to get that position on you, right? What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm. I would like to swing with my scythe first.
Yeah.
11 will miss.
11. As the scythe comes down, the fiendish spirit uses the bow to block, and there is the spiritual emanation of your Fey spirit and this fiend spirit locked eye to eye as sparks flash up in the corridor as two different spirit energies collide in the bone zone.
I will use my hasted action to dodge.
Yep.
And then I will spend a point of spirit. As she readies her body, Terminus will lunge out with his arms and make 2 strikes.
Yeah.
First strike.
Sorry, I thought something was funny in my head. I don't think you can dodge with a hasted action. Just so you know.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
It's
then I'll have to use my normal action to dodge next turn, and then hasted action attack.
Yeah.
So I'll be making 2 swings for my scythe. But first, the first spiritual strike.
Get a key point dodge, or
it does have. You could.
I
use
do,
a
but I'm
key
just
point
also
to dodge. Yeah, that is. Sorry. 17 does hit.
Okay. This will have spiritual acid on it.
Takes 12 points of damage as you smash against a shell barrier. This is a shell user you're fighting against. Adhira as a similar force kind of blocks the attack that you're used to seeing protecting yourself. Doesn't stagger.
It will be an 8, actually.
An 8, sorry?
Because you're reading crit damage.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I am. Thank you.
All right.
Saves me 4.
So, hasted action attack will be this. 8 will miss.
8 does miss. Just the difficult of the close quarters fighting manages to swing themselves around a little bit.
Second spiritual strike. That will be a crit.
Yeah, blocking off their escape routes, like swing one way, swing another. Natural 20 hits.
That will be 10
damage. It's hard to tell exactly how much damage you've done. Obviously, the shell is like taking the blows for it right now. It's not overly winded or looking perturbed or like particularly damaged Adhira, but at the same time, you can see that you've diminished the barrier between you and it.
I'm gonna be within 5 feet of it because I know that makes it harder for him to like maneuver his bow and weapons into.
Right, so you're
firing
like
range.
off to the right hand side of it, so that like the tunnel is you've both got tunnel to your backs, basically. Is that the?
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, cool. Absolutely, Adhira.
All right, that's my turn.
Clara, you are. I think you're 420 feet away at present, Clara. But yeah, you see brief sparks of the conflict between Adhira, so you do get little visual confirmations of where they are.
We're gonna have to keep sprinting because that's way too far.
Yeah. How far can you get? 90, right?
Yeah, get me another 90.
Yeah. Okay. Running closer gets you pretty much on the cusp of like the 300-foot range towards where your target is. But yeah, Adhira seems to be holding on so far, but it hasn't really replied too much from what you can see, Clara. She's kind of got the drop on it.
Okay, cool.
Uther.
1 second.
Of course.
Are they still sending shots downrange, or are
No,
we...
no, their attention is quite
Oh.
squarely on Atira.
I'm going to check if Sky is okay with me dashing ahead, and if so, then I'm going to move 90 foot forward to try to...
Yeah, she's just like, go.
Then yeah, I can keep my shield with me at 90 foot forward, can't I?
Yeah, of course.
Or would
Yeah,
that
yeah.
be...
Absolutely fine.
'Cause it's a 5 foot thing, so I don't anyway. Yeah, then I'm gonna just move my 90 and set up the wall, reset the wall, and get ready to move another 90 when the turn comes up again.
Okay. Caliban, it is quite some distance between you and the target. I think you'd have to sprint a couple of times to get within kind of shooting range. You've got some way of moving faster.
What do I have? Let me check. No, I'm afraid I don't. I'll just get as close as I can, sprinting. That's about 60 feet of movement.
Yeah, sprinting 60 foot upwards towards the conflict between this cloaked individual and Atira. It is their turn. Bonus action is going to... the mask eye flares up, looking at you, Atira. Need a wisdom saving throw, please. 20. Momentarily, you feel all of the magic, the haste around you, flicker as if suppressed in like an anti-magic field, only for it to, because Uther is concentrating on it or a distance away, it's almost like it's looking at you trying to end your like ability to focus on the spell, but because Uther is the one actually keeping the power on you, it doesn't disappear. That's its bonus action. And then...
Does that... It getting suppressed wouldn't trigger the stun, would it?
No, it wouldn't. And technically,
Okay,
if it was suppressed and the spell ended, the stun wouldn't happen either, because the stun is a aspect.
We got some tech here we can work with.
We got some tech here that we can work with, because that stun is not going to be fun when it catches up to you.
It is going to... can I get a deception check from you, please?
What?
Yes, Atira. Sorry. 22, okay. In which case, it is just going pull out the weapon and attempt to fire at you point blank. Disadvantage. We'll see if it hits or not. 18.
That will hit.
It is a ranged weapon attack, so if you wanted to deflect some of the shot, you could. But it does manage to get you up against the wall, your arm pinned by the barrel of the gun. The trigger pulls. 14 piercing damage.
Let me look at deflect missile.
Should be 1d10 plus dex mod. It might also be plus monk level as well.
Yeah, I think it reaches ridiculous levels, like ridiculous numbers.
I always
as
get
you
it
level up.
confused with the full damage rolls.
Okay, 1d10 plus dexterity plus monk.
So it's 1d10.
Yeah,
So
that
that
makes
leaves 1d10 plus 6. So I just need to roll a 1d10.
5. Plus 6 was 11, so you take 3 points of damage. As, the gun pins your arm to the wall. You manage to turn your arm just enough that the gunshot isn't what hits you. It's the bone fragment that splinters off from the impact, kind of catches you up the arm, impacting into the shell. That is its turn. Dafer. Running forward still.
Now at like 30 feet ahead of Sky.
Yeah, you're 100. You're 150 of the 500 feet, so you're running 60 forward, puts you at like 210, I think. Roughly where Adhira was before her huge sprint, basically.
Yeah, which means only like 5 more turns.
Sky is going to grab one of the crystals that she got from the pack that she picked up earlier, one of the emergency ones. She's going to look around at everyone here. Clara, you're almost in range to shoot, right?
I could at the moment. It's at disadvantage, but I'm probably going to try next round anyway.
So you've got a way of attacking. Uther, how close are you? You're...
I had moved up 90 from where Sky was.
So you're 150. She's gonna use the crystal. She's gonna target Uther, and she's going to target Caliban. Both of you get pulled into a sort of like vortex of energy, and she's going to teleport you both 90 foot forward with the crystal.
Sick. Vortex warp.
Oh yeah.
So the three of you are like Dafer, Caliban, and Uther are also like all kind of in one group together, a little bit behind where Clara is. It's her.
It's the guy squad.
It's her that's mostly left behind at this point. She continues moving forward, but she doesn't really have too much that she can use to get closer. Adhere.
Okay.
No, Caliban, no.
Try and like push the barrel away from me.
Yeah.
Is there any way that I could reach out and try and grapple the gun away? Or at least like grapple it to a point where it can't fire against me?
It would be an athletics check, obviously. That's the one thing I'd say.
She's gonna do the mental math on that and decide that it's not gonna be something she can do. She's using her scythe in her hand to sort of like try and push the gun barrel away.
Mm-hmm.
And the spiritual arms are going to do most of the offense this turn as they sort of lash out, trying to skewer in the first attack, regular action.
18 hits.
All right, this will have acid.
8 points
of damage.
Yep.
A hasted action.
Crit hits.
9 points of damage.
Yep.
Spirit point, flurry of blows. First of that.
Hits. 8 points of damage.
Second attack.
Natural.
You know what? I think that's fair. That's fair.
As
I'm fine
Adhira,
with that.
you use like your human body and the strength from your shell to keep like shifting the gun from one side to another, making sure it's on defensive, while Kamsin basically keeps up the offense. The scythe blade striking against the bow, parrying it, slicing through the cloak, which kind of knits itself back together, but each time a little bit slower than the last. Its ability to keep up with the output of damage from Kamsin slowly fading away. As Adhira, you feel this you feel the sense that this is the worst possible situation for your opponent, right? Like you're this nimble little target in this tight little space trying to wheel this heavy gun around to get a direct line on you. But you also feel the tension with that. You know that if this lines up at the wrong moment and that thing hits you full on, you're in for a bad time. So you're sort of like dancing at the end of this rifle right now. Anything else for you?
That'll do it.
Clara.
Right. I'm gonna move my 30 feet. I'm gonna cunning action dash my 30 feet.
Yeah.
I'm now within. What am I at now? If I move up another 60.
I think you're at 200 feet away, basically, at this point.
Cool. That'll do. Disadvantage, but I might as well start trying to actually help.
Yeah.
Right. I shall throw said chakram. Didn't matter.
Yeah, unfortunately, it like bounces around the bone tunnel and then it eventually like ends up ricocheting back to you, but misses the kind of melee combat at the extreme range of your attack.
And I'm fine. I have alerted them to the fact that I am in presence range.
The like shouldered head sort of like turns to look as this blade goes like whizzing past. Uther, I think it's over to you.
How far away are we now after the 90-foot teleport?
You're 300 foot from your target.
90 foot forward, with my full movement, including rogue bullshit, and setting up my wall again just in case.
That would be enough. You could give Clara cover there if you wanted to. You guys are sort of in the same vicinity at this point. Okay, yeah. Uther moves up.
It's a it's 5-foot shield, so...
Yeah, you put up a wall-tile block. Caliban, you're at 300 foot from your target.
Just gonna get as close as I can again.
So moving forward 60 foot, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what the range on the gun form of your weapon was, so I didn't know if you wanted to take a pot shot or not.
I think you had a deep.
I think it's
for the
150.
fire.
Isn't all of it 100, 300 or something like that? I think.
Let me check the EK documents.
I think it is all 100,
I have them right
300.
here. Empress City lore mechanics. Yeah. Ranged is 100, 300. Yes.
So you could take a shot at disadvantage if you wanted to.
Yeah, sure. I might as well.
9 also misses, deflects off of the shell barrier that's sort of at the end, unfortunately.
Damn.
It is a target-rich environment, in the worst possible sense. Adhira, it is going to cast a spell at you.
Okay.
Into the nightmare dimension.
One second. Let's see if Roll20 can keep up. Well, I know it can't, but let's see if eventually it manages to give me a number.
I am fascinated at the difficulties that we have with Roll20 sometimes.
Unfortunately, Adhira, you get hit with a 2nd level sleep spell, at which point at 28, that's exactly your health. You fall into unconsciousness as a wave of energy hits you. You tumble back. It is going to turn and start backing down the corridor. Since it was the shoulder-mounted spirit that cast the spell, it is going to take a shot at your barrier, Uther.
Oh boy.
The arrow section of the bow seems to, like, just grow from the right-hand shoulder, almost like it just... Like, the missile of the bow itself is sort of, like, grown into place rather than loaded by any sort of hand. But it is badly hurt, but still there after your strike.
Okay. That'll be me.
Caliban.
Let's see.
You could get within melee range, or you're in range for non-disadvantage shooting.
I'm getting into melee.
Okay, getting up close to it.
Wow. Dabbing.
Get him. 15 just managed to bow.
Oh shit.
25,
Well, either way, both hit.
25 hits.
Yeah.
2 damage as you manage to get, like, the bow is blocked with the sword. Second hand comes in, you stab him in, like, the lower rib. Actually get into the human section of the body as blood spills out over your hand. It kind of shoots out from the lower section of the side where you punctured. You hear the wheeze someone breathing in as you probably get into the lung there, Caliban.
All right. And I will. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So I will then action surge
Yeah.
and try to hit with a fainting attack.
Yeah. Go for it. Fainting attack just gives you advantage, right, if I remember correctly?
Expend 1 superiority die and use a. No, wait, no, I have to use a bonus action as well. Never mind.
So,
I'll just
yeah.
use my action surge to just attack again.
Yeah, go for it. 20 hits. Caliban, it is so close. As you strike, like, the injury causes them to bend slightly. They pull their body back, and as that shift happens, you manage to slip the blade up. You get it underneath the mask on the operative. The mask comes off as your blade slips up underneath and manages to cut up. Kind of takes a chunk of the lip away as the head tilts back. You see an individual who's clean shaven, like just completely shaved bald, very scar, pale. The irises are odd. They're like expanded, like a nocturnal animal's, or like someone who's taken a lot of narcotics. Just really wide irises that almost take up the whole eye, but you can just see some whites around the edge. Yeah, Caliban, very low, but still there.
Alright, that's the end of my actions and bonus actions.
He is going to say something in Fiendish. I don't know if anyone speaks Fiendish here.
Hold on, let me check.
Ooh.
Nah, I don't.
Terminus does.
Terminus knows some words in Fiendish that are common to exchange on a battlefield. But this is a sentence that the guy speaks to the spirit. It raises the bow. It is going to... It's gonna point it at Uther. I need a dexterity saving throw from you, please.
Oh no.
So you take half damage, and your shield will take whatever amount it can before it breaks, basically.
It's at like 9 hit points, I think. What is it? Took 11 damage previously?
Yeah, it took 11.
Alright, it's got 9 health.
Give me 1 second, it's just rolling.
Rolling.
Roll 20 requires I toss the entire set of dice down the stairs before it waits at the bottom and counts the result. 31 half.
I mean, that's one.
15 points of damage, so 9 of that is absorbed by the shield before it is broken through. As the arrow converts into a lightning bolt, and you do manage to duck out of the way behind the shield, but just get caught by like stray strikes of lightning coming off of it.
Okay, so I take the 15, but the 15 is reduced.
So you take 6 afterwards. Yeah.
The 6 is reduced by my temp HP.
Nice.
So I take 3.
By the power of
And now I
Barrel con.
I now owe a con save.
Yes, you do. Yeah, that's true. DC 10.
But I have to. Yeah, I just have to be a 10.
Woo!
Ooh. Guess who's not stunned?
That would have been nasty. I think he's gonna take a shot at... Of all the people that could possibly restrain him, looking around him, it's Dafer that he'd be concerned about in that regard, so he's actually gonna shoot.
Dafer is not even in this fight.
He is actually, he's like
That
20...
is entirely correct.
He's like 20
Oh,
foot away
he's
at this point.
Oh,
He's
okay.
planning the long con.
Not yet in the
I-
fight. You will
I
be.
didn't realize Dafer had gotten that close yet. I'm sorry.
He's gonna shift the
Believe me,
bullet
Dafer didn't either.
to thunder damage. I might have accidentally rolled twice, thinking that roll 20 hadn't picked it up, but we'll take whatever the first result
I'm not
is.
seeing any dice.
Yeah, I know. Da, 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 da. I don't know why my
Rollin',
connection's so slow
rollin',
today.
rollin'.
One of those days, I think. Or it didn't take whatsoever. No, I'm not going to believe that. I know I pressed
I
it.
don't think it took.
See, there it is. 21 versus AC.
Not seeing it. I mean, that hits, but I don't see it.
There you
There we go.
21 hits. Day for your hit center mass 4. See how well I roll.
Another minute to wait for the
26. 26 points of damage slams into you in the chest, Dafer, as your shell takes a heavy impact. But that's not enough to stop you. You can keep barreling through, and it is your turn.
I mean, I basically, like, it wins me slightly, but I assume I still, like, try to, no-sell it to a degree.
Yeah.
Well, it wins me rather roughly, but still, I
What do you want to do, Dave? It's your turn. Oh, did we lose ISO? Maybe so. Or did we lose me? Or did we lose Discord? Hello? Indeed, I did. Let's see if we can connect faster than last time. Nine would miss, but I assume that you're attacking recklessly, so 16 would hit for 7. Yeah,
Oh, these shields were a good idea.
hello, I'm back. I've rolled the boulder back up the hill. Let's wait for it to roll back down.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Sisyphus.
7 damage is enough. I had like 3 health left. You finally close the gap, Dafer. Deliver the non-lethal cross strike to the assuming you're hitting it in like the human head, basically. Is there anything else you'd like to do as you finish out knocking them unconscious?
As they, I mean, as I assume this, like, moves their head to the right and, like, makes them slump down, the fiendish head, does it also look knocked out, or does it still look like it's somewhat in the fight? Because if it is, it gets a kick.
Like I say, in this moment, Dafer, as you look at it, it still seems conscious. Almost, in fact, what you're watching right now is it ripping itself in the, like, blackish skin that connects them stretch as it tries to tear itself free from the human section that you've knocked unconscious.
Don't like that.
In that case, I'm still a student. I didn't, so I'm not as intelligent in my fighting style. So, but still, like after having delivered the right hook to the side, Dava would then like reset his position and then just try to like from his stance kick with the left leg, lightning imbued into actually not lightning imbued, normal into the demon.
The cloak body. Yeah, go for it.
Cloak. Yeah. That is not overloaded, and that is normal boots. So that's a 23 for 4 boot damage.
Boot damage.
Wait, that is also, however, that is imbued with a smite, as I would have. Like I see demon detaching itself. I have flashbacks of
the little shell thing.
the one time we fought one that blew up an entire facility.
Oh,
I was like, absolutely not. I just jumped down on that with a smite.
Yeah,
attached.
go for
That
it.
is
Using an embarrassed smite.
I have not had a macro for this to my own shock. So that's, I think,
2d8, right?
2d8?
Yeah.
It'd be 2d8 lightning, I believe. So that's 6 lightning damage.
Another 6 lightning damage. It is like... It's primarily fabric, so the damage from your kick is half, but the lightning does still course through it. You manage to, like, kick it as it was tearing itself away. You shove it down into the ground with your foot. It lets go of the bow, which sort of disintegrates, and using its one hand, it's like trying to clamber along the bone floor, like its cloak just kind of drifting out behind it. Almost like a sheet in the wind, kind of billowing and trying to escape, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That
was movement, action, bonus action. That's it. So Sky's turn.
She will close the gap. She's about 200 feet out at this point, I think. No, 180. Atira.
Terminus will shift Adhira's attacks towards the devil, as I'll make using action, hasted action. 2 attacks. First one with Comson. 5 will miss.
It like separates the cloak so that the blade goes through the center of it, missing.
Hasted action attack.
15 just misses as well, as it's much more nimble now without the body attached to it. It's just flitting around with very little weight to drag it down.
And bonus action attack. Will also miss.
12 misses as well. Wraps the cloak around your hand just long enough to like attach to you, and as you pull away, lets go.
I will still try and stay within, like on top of it, like 5 feet.
Okay.
And my skeleton will make an attack.
Yes, of course.
Don't
11
miss.
misses, as its ability to suppress magical energy is still in effect. Does manage to get its eyes on the skeletal creature just long enough to diminish the strike. Clara.
Alrighty.
Okay. Same as the verse before. I'm just gonna keep steady aim, trying to hit it. Not looking likely.
No, unfortunately, it's still with his smaller, more nimble form, dodging attacks from every direction at this point. Uther, I think that's you.
Is it still in range or is it moved?
You can move up to it and make a melee attack at this point if you wish, or you can
Okay.
shoot it. Either one.
Yeah, I was seeing if I would be able to do an aimed attack, but if I have to move, I can't.
You have to
aim,
move,
so I will
unfortunately, yeah.
move. Yeah. Just going to try to just stake it to the ground with my sword.
18 hits. 15 damage. You do briefly pin it to the ground, but it like rips its own fabric along the blade in order to keep moving and escape from you, Uther. It's like split
Actually,
almost down the middle, but it is
shit.
pulling itself away from you. Anything else, Uther?
I'm just looking at this. This isn't working out for you, buddy. You gotta stop.
Caliban.
Well, all I can really do is just hit.
Yep,
See if I can hit.
stab the cloak. Whew, Jesus, yeah, natural 20 hits. 16 points of damage. As Uther pins it in one place, Caliban, you pin it in another. It's just like tearing its fabric to shreds. Barely any of it left. This tattered, once like cool-looking black cloak with eyes is now just like this shredded, almost like toilet paper looking at the end, just ripped apart form that it's like trying to... and it's like pathetically clawing at the ground trying to get away from you, Caliban.
And I have my bonus action.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, there's just not much left of it to stab at, Caliban. As you strike a piece that had already torn off of its body, unfortunately, that it's like flitting away.
Damn it. Alright.
It will bonus action disengage, and it's going to move its full speed just like 100 foot down the corridor, down the tunnel away from you guys, like just blind panic flitting away. Dafer.
100 feet. Like 100 or 90?
Hinder.
100.
It got hit with a slashing attack. It did have a slight reduction to its speed.
What's the difference? Is it minus 10?
Yeah, it's minus.
And it's 90 foot away from you, Dafer.
I'm rushing up 30, and then I am using my action to recklessly shockwave shoot at it.
Yeah, go for it.
Sadly, I can't do with anything other than.
Oh, technically it would be
normal
80 feet away from you guys. Technically, but yes, because it would use an action to dash. Yeah. But that doesn't change the disadvantage. So yeah, go ahead, Dafer.
Overload. No, normal gauntlet attack, reckless 22, 3 bludgeoning, half to 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, the shockwave, like the force type, isn't great against the fabric. It is buffeted by the winds and sort of floats on it, or almost like a leaf kind of blown around by the force of your attack, Dafer.
But it waves it up into the air, into a prime spot for a hero.
That you, Dafer? Sky, seeing it like trying to zoom away, reaches into her pocket, pulls out a huge crystal rod with a bunch of like different rainbow inscriptions on it. She twists it so a series of them lines up. She points it down the corridor, and a tiny bead about a centimeter across of golden light zips past all of you, past the cloak, and then a radiant fireball detonates, filling the corridor, heading back towards it. It needs to make a dex save. And also we need to... Let's see whether it survives or not, but I'd have to roll really badly. It's possible. I did not. It sort of tries to find a space to avoid it. You watch it flit down into one of the divots, but the radiant fireball goes around corners. It fills every gap. It's a wall of blinding light, and as it realizes it, like, comes up and tries to escape, you watch the light hit the back of the fabric, burn through, get to the mask, and the mask fractures and breaks, and the light breaks through it as the radiant damage erases the fiendish spirit, leaving nothing but dust and this fragmented mask on the ground. It has been
Now I'm
defeated. Technically, the light wouldn't have reached you. It's like a blinding light that doesn't... Like, you can see it, but it also isn't bright, weirdly. It's like the intensity of the light is contained to a section.
Fair enough, then.
Adhira is going to drop her scythe and just allow herself to slump against one of the bone walls as I assume haste wears off shortly thereafter.
I was about to say, hey, here, want to see something funny? And then I would end it.
That's so mean!
You feel the brain fog and the physical just as you slump and slide down the bone wall. Sky kind of catches up with the group, not like moments later, with that having been like essentially a pretty short scuffle with you guys just charging at gunfire while Adhira has like that close range gun kata fight with it. Sky will say, "Good work, everyone. Managed to close down on it well. Especially you, Adhira. Good job keeping it occupied."
It's just like a slurred mutter of Lamshi in response.
Deva would take a closer look at the dude who just got a demon extracted from him, or a fiend extracted from him, and would also ask Clara for help with looking over the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll come be nosy. Why not?
Are we...
Like, we knocked him out? Is he unconscious? Is he dead? Is he dying?
Like I say, are we medicine or are we investigating? That's my question.
I mean, I presume if I've been asked, we're medicining.
Yeah, I want him alive. We can still investigate him after.
I would like it if we haven't killed him.
I don't mind too much, but it would be preferable.
A medicine check, please.
Yes.
I mean, I would support, but I don't really have a proficiency.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Negative
Well,
modifier.
it seems it's the same anyway. Clara looking at him. He's unconscious. His body is quite resilient. He's definitely, even though that spirit just left him, he does seem to still have a shell on him, so he's still getting some sort of protection from that, even if it is minimal. He's not like the people when the quickfires disappeared either, Clara. He's not like catatonic. In fact, you're pretty sure if left alone, he'd probably wake up within the hour.
I relay such information.
Okay. Do we have any rope that looks strong enough like that it could hold the guy?
Sky looks at the rope, says, "We can bind him. We should." She like takes his. He's wearing like a bracer. She manages to like pull it off of him. Says, he still has some energy in him, but hopefully, without his shell on him, it won't be so much that he can break free of a good binding.
I mean,
Are there
I
any
can't.
identifying markings on shells?
Are you asking Sky or someone else? Sorry.
Just general allowed. Allowed.
She'll
question.
toss the thing she just took off of him to you, Uther, if you want to look at it.
Yeah, I'll busy myself with that then. Sorry for talking over you, Dave. Didn't mean to.
I can't claim to know much about tying knots. I mean, other than for securing rope, but I'm not sure if the same kind of knots apply to tying a person up.
Sky just starts like wrapping the rope around his legs from the ankles in a circle all the way up his legs, almost like mummifying his legs basically, then ties it off in knots at either side and starts doing the arms next. So his like arms and legs are basically just attached from the wrists all the way up to kind of like the armpits with a rope bound together. He's just like, I won't take risks.
We got the full 50 feet of rope. We're
What
going to use it.
what I'm learning is you don't need technique. You just need to be safe, which works for me.
if lots rope, use lots rope.
Yeah.
Investigation, good, hinder, or would you prefer perception on this?
If you're looking at the shell, perception, investigation, or arcana, depending on which you roll, I'll give you slightly different information.
Oh, fascinating. I'm best at. Wow.
The markings are fiendish, so that's your first problem you're seeing, Uther, is it's in a language that you don't quite understand. what you are able to comprehend is that the markings on this shell are, at a glance, not dissimilar to the way the markings on Atira's lamp look, like that you've kind of glanced at occasionally whenever she's been around. It's not like the same markings, it's that they're arrayed in a similar pattern. However,
It's a language difference is what I would probably glean then.
And there are way more markings on this shell. There is not a square, like not an inch of this shell that is not engraved with a marking. It is jam-packed. In fact, you think that if you were to get this under something to look closer, there would be markings in the markings on this thing. It's been modified as much as you've ever seen something like this be in the past.
Sounds like a fiend contract to me.
I mean, definitely. The real question is, who got this guy a shell, and then who modified this shell? Because like we're either bumping into some black site project government shit we shouldn't know about, or yeah.
Adhira, from her spot laying down on the ground, she's gonna gently nudge her lamp and ask, "How do you know that guy? What was that the fiend of?"
That was one of your, not your personally, but one of your kind's principal problems. One of the cardinals.
Kind of sits up straighter. A little bit of confusion as her brow furrows, either not fully understanding the word or not fully believing that she had heard it right. Cardinal what?
Well,
Sins, I presume.
yes. That was the desire to have what others have. Coveting, envy, perhaps.
And do you have history?
We all have a history with envy, Atira, even if we wouldn't like to admit it. My brother always
Looks a
told me
bit
about
self-conscious.
No. While I do remember being the person that knocked this guy out, I am actually not all that certain what we want to do with him.
Sky thinks for a moment, says, "We can always question him. From there, I don't know either."
It's not like we're going to have an easy time getting him out of here.
It will not be easy. There is the potential encampment and head that Kathy talked about. There could be more of them there. We could use him as a bargaining chip if need be.
That sounds
If we wanted to
reasonable.
extract this guy outpost to would probably be the
It's definitely the closest to us,
Only-
yes. We'd have to
It's
make it through.
also the more dangerous to get to.
Yes, but it will be impossible to drag this guy through the waterfall caverns, at least alive, which
Yeah.
perhaps we should do.
Yeah. Depends. Actually, before we do anything further, let's just take a closer look at what this guy has. I'd like to search the dude, like up and down, for what he has. Anything useful, even if it's just resources or anything.
So he has the huge rifle, obviously,
Mhm.
and
Feeling
also
that.
Does have an invisibility crystal on him. If
I mean, I grab it and then just hand it off to. I hand it off to Clara because she is the
Yeah, I
one
was gonna
person.
say-
that I
Tara's
think-
a good choice.
If no one particularly wants it, I will definitely not complain.
so that's.
I mean, I've already called dibs on this fucking gun, so like, take whatever else.
That's once a short rest invisibility crystal, Clara.
Nice.
And then there is a once per short rest minor illusion crystal as well.
Which I hand off to. Caliban. You get that? This is a peace offering from me. Don't fuck it
What's
up.
going on?
You are given a crystal that allows you to cast minor illusion once per short rest.
Okay, one sec.
In terms of like these I just picked up, like I know we normally have 3 from school.
Yeah.
So how does this interact with like the system?
These particular ones don't actually need attunement. These are very they're like overtuned, I guess is the way I describe it. They're bigger than they need to be for the amount of energy they're going to give out, basically. So yeah, you don't need attunement to these.
Ooh. Under the
Nice.
radar spells.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Sky heads over to where Adhira, he took the shot to blast through the tunnel, and kind of sticks her head out to look down. Pulls her head back in. We're over lava.
Grand.
That's not unexpected. This place was a volcano.
But there's something else down
It
there.
is a volcano.
I can't quite make it out, but there's something sticking out of the magma and lava, or whatever it is down here.
There's a scope on this gun, yeah?
Yes, there is.
I'm gonna poke my head out and look through the scope.
Give me a perception check with advantage.
Shit.
There are a couple of things you can see. One, it looks like the remains of something. Not unsimilar to the skeletal tunnel you're in. There's like, it kind of winds around in the lava. Some of it's sticking out, some of it's submerged, but it's a similar sort of bone material. However, the heat from the magma chamber down there has kind of burnt the skin off, so it's a bit more as you would expect it to look. However,
Would
there
ribs be a solid shout?
No,
if this is
honestly, it all looks like one giant. The best way I can describe it is a spinal column. If like, it's like a snake, like a spinal snake is the best way.
I'm listening.
For God's sake.
But it seems to be one entity. It connects up the wall into the tunnel that you're in. Like, it winds around this space quite a lot.
Well, there's some more bones down there.
You do also make out occasionally the tops of structures, worked stone sticking out of the magma, and maybe on a 13, there's gouts of steam and smoke, but maybe
Not
there's
used
some
to this scope.
maybe there's some structures in the actual cavern wall, like not in the magma, but like above it slightly, set into the stonework. But it's very difficult to make anything out because of the way like smoke is billowing up, and you've got jets of harmful gases, which again aren't reaching you where you are. It's like not permeating through the barrier of the corpse of this snake whatsoever.
Bones, more bones, structures in the lava, potentially structures along the cave walls.
Whatever this bone thing is that you're in, Uther, from what you're seeing, you could surmise that if you were inside it, in the lava, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. You'd be protected from it. That you wouldn't feel the danger whatsoever. You could travel through the magma in this bone tunnel if you could find another entrance to it and be fine. That's one thing that you can sort of identify.
I have a goofy question, Henry.
Yeah.
Is the corpse
Mhm.
magical to the touch?
It doesn't feel magical to the touch, no. Obviously, it's not magical in the sense that, like, there isn't an arcane energy running through it. But at the same time, something in your head says it is magical.
It has to be.
I'm inside of this, like, there's a wall of heat. I put my hand through the density of the lava beyond. I put my hand in, I can't anymore. There has to be something going on.
Yeah, I was just trying to fish if I could figure out if this thing was,
I guess,
divine or draconic.
What I would say is, the tunnel you were in was not enchanted or created by mortal hands.
Fascinating. The flesh outside is smooth, not scaly. Yes.
It is smooth. You can also tell now that it's decayed. It's just not decayed in like not decayed in a normal way. It's like slowly decaying over an impossible time frame, I guess you would say. It's like in the early stages of necrosis, despite the fact you can tell that this place must be truly ancient.
Alrighty then. That's all the fishing I can think of to do for now.
Okay.
Relay what I've seen, and that's about it.
This is me just doing an absolute crap shot in the dark. Would actually anything pick up if they were just to use the tactical interface feature of his armor to just look around?
What are you like looking out at the magma chamber, or looking at the actual like bone snake thing, or
the bone snake thing, both like through the tunnel itself as well as like through the hole down into like the basically one from the inside of the snake, one from the outside of the snake.
Give me an investigation check.
Okay. I assume the feature lets me do the check in the first place, so no advantage.
Yes, yeah, no advantage. Yeah, you're just getting permission from it.
Makes sense to me.
The bone and stuff like that itself is vulnerable to high energy, low surface area attacks. So the rifle that was used was particularly effective. Like, if you were to take a hammer and chisel, like it would be one of the best ways of getting through the bone. If you were to detonate like a whole lot of like TNT down here, it wouldn't do nearly as much damage as you would with a hammer and chisel. Weirdly, it like disperses force quite well. Looking at magma field, your tactical interface would pick up one thing and one thing only. There is signs of an encampment, a small camp basically, out in the structure that is set into the magma. A encampment for one person. But there's no signs of anyone, just that camp.
So like there's an encampment in the magma wall way down beneath, and not like our height, but on the other side of the tunnel.
Yeah, so as you're looking out of the hole in the tunnel, you look down at like a 45-degree angle, and maybe 200 feet above where the magma is, there's a building or like a stone structure set into the cavern wall. And then somewhere within the ruins, you can see your tactical interface is like picking up the outlines of what looks to be like a tent and some bags and like little bits and pieces like that that makes you think that someone slept there.
Okay, so in the inset into the wall above,
Yes.
like 200 feet above the magma,
Correct.
is an encampment. Path to that? Do I see a path to that encampment?
Unfortunately, because like it's set into the wall and there's a structure, you can't see. Like, you would assume that there are entranceways on the left and right, or back from there, but you don't see any obvious like walkways or anything else from the outside.
Sky, Uther, did
Mhm.
Kathy ever write anything or mention anything about reaching a magma chamber?
Sky shakes her head. Not that I saw.
Because we have a camp down there. Does that camp down there remind me of the one that we had near the archaeological site?
It's hard because you're only
Short
getting
term.
the outline day for it. It's tough.
Yeah.
All you can tell is there is a camp.
Can he point it out to me while I still have this scope?
Yeah, Uther. He's only able to see it. It's like through the smoke and the jets of gas. It's just the interface picking up like an outline. He's like seeing it through smoke. So when you look at it through the scope, you just get jets of black and gouts of like breaking up the imagery.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sky thinks for a moment, says, "It could be that. It could be Kathy. It could be this group. Either way, I think we keep our course for now. We'll keep heading on into this unknown camp that she marked. We'll try and find out more about this individual that we've captured. From there, we'll take them up to Outpost 2. And if we haven't found anything new, we'll try and find a way down into the magma chamber. Check out the camp down there. It could be her."
Alright.
If Adhira kind of speaking from her spot on the ground, as per usual. Do you still have that sending crystal
Well, yeah, I
from Kathy's pack?
just picked up from her pack.
If you stuck your head out and tried, might something happen?